Remember when the Bucs used to play good defense? This is
here. We got another call here. I don't know who this is, but thanks a lot for the call on the evolution of sports talk television. All right. You've got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose to the Carolina Panthers. How does that happen? Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Speechless. What can you say? Start off the first drive, right? You run the ball on first down. Get nothing. Like always, 2 yards in a cloud of dust. I don't know what offense is worse. And we've seen some pretty bad offenses in Bucs history. I watched lots of Bucs games in my time. With all the talent this team has, with all that they have. And this is what you get. This is what you get. Unbelievable. But the first drive, you have a wide open Mike Evans, and it is a microcosm of what the season has been. And don't make the excuse that Evans only was targeted 4 times last week, so he's just warming up. You should have a touchdown at that point. You should be up 7-0. But what do we hear all week? What do we hear in that press conference? You can play the same press conference. Besides the turnovers, we're not executing. We're not scoring points in the red zone. The Carolina Panthers, the team that just traded Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey, you still gave up over 150 yards of rushing? Are you joking? Are you kidding? Save the calls. I set the table, you come to eat. Is this a quarterback problem? Maybe. Is this a coaching problem? Definitely. Have we seen enough? You know, I come on this show all the time and defend Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles, saying they're going to get this stuff together. They're going to get it together. They haven't been able to get it together. It's not even close. That team has no business beating the Bucs. A double-digit underdog. Are you joking? And it's the same suspects all the time. Are we done? Are we done with Luke Gedeke at left guard? Are we done? It seemed like the Bucs were done today. They went with Nick Leverett. He played well. No pressure. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do, Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles? What do we do? Put him back in. Put him back in. How about the play calling? Are we done with the running on first down? I get it. Mike Evans drops a touchdown because you finally go past play action. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Should have had a touchdown and drops it. But on third down, you get stuffed in the red zone again. What do you do on fourth down? 4th and 1. What do you do? You did it last week. Guess what? If fans out there know what you're going to do, don't you think that defensive coordinators know what you're going to do? You ran the same play that you were successful on 4th and 1 and got it. This time you didn't. Hats off to the Carolina Panthers. By the way, you see that little shadow in the back? That's a prop.
Stand by.
Because this team is a shadow of what the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on a happy
Hump Day
edition of the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about as we're one day away from Bucs versus the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. How do we start off this edition? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy in the building. James Cannida, former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, expected to come on and break down what has gone wrong with this Bucs defense. So we'll talk about that. Also get a breakdown from Brian Baldager of NFL Network, talking about their troubles. And you have to see this video because he basically breaks everything down. And then we'll talk a little wrestling, a little national perspective with XM Sirius's own Mr. Mark Mancini of Mancini Sports, and of course the bodyguard of the Berg, Ralph Williams. And then, as always, take your phone calls because I want to hear from you, Bucs fans, on the eve of Thursday Night Football. Bucs versus the Ravens once again. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. The link has been sent out. So if you want to get on video, you can do that. And also you can text in and call that number. I tell you what, let's go out to these comments. Bucs are done. Sorry, Pete. Sorry about your luck. I don't think the Bucs are done yet. We still have a long season, but they have a lot of things to clean up. That's for sure. You saw how passionate I was on that response. I'll continue to be that way. I'll continue to tell it like it is on the Sports Web. When they play that awful and you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to definitely call you out. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Alex leading it off here on the Sports Web. Welcome, and your thoughts on your Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling to 3-4. Go.
Hey, I'm excited. I'm the first phone call in. Sweet.
There you go, buddy. You're the first phone call in. So what do you have to say?
Listen, I want to say this. I do want to say this. If the Bucs are going to be successful tomorrow, we got to do a couple things. I don't want to keep much of your time because I know we have a lot of people coming on tonight.
You've got plenty of time, my friend.
We cannot, excuse my language, we cannot call the same shit every game. When we are consistently running the same play calls that the booth is calling out previously before making the play, come on, man.
Well, it happened on fourth down, and I talked about this in my rant, right? I mean, you called 4th and 1 last week. You run outside. If I can see that and you can see that, Alex, don't you think a defensive coordinator that their only job is to break down tape can see that also? By the way, running Leonard Fournette outside, does that make sense to you with the guy that's not that elusive?
I just don't think Fournette is the same Fournette that we had, last year, definitely the year before. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This team just looks a little different. But I will say this. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win a ball game doing the same predictable shit. I have never seen a head coach more lost and baffled than I have with Todd. I've never seen a coach looking like he has no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. So much less you just can't call the same predictable shit. You got a quarterback in Tom Brady who you got throw the damn ball. Yeah. Throw the damn ball. How many times was Mike Evans targeted last week?
Well, he was targeted quite a bit. 9 catches for 96
yards.
Of course.
I will say one thing, though.
Sure.
It has happened twice. This has happened twice this year. 2 games this year. By the way, I haven't been on this show in a long time. I'm absolutely shocked we're 3-4. I don't even know how we've even won 3 games. But I will tell you one thing. Mm-hmm. This happened in a previous game. I'm not sure which game it was, and you can probably recall. Mm-hmm. The moment you have a wide open Mike Evans, who, by the way, can catch these wild catches, 3 men covering him, but you start a game, mm-hmm. dropping a wide open dot.
Yep.
From there, just like that one week, I'm trying to remember what week it was, but just it's set the tone for a very bad game. I'm sorry, but you cannot open up a ball game missing a wide open perfect dot for the easy touchdown.
You
just can't do that.
And
it's depressing.
Mike Evans agreed with you on it because he said it took the life out of this team. And that to me, those comments in itself, I tell you everything you need to know, because if one play takes the life out of you out of a 4-quarter game in the first quarter, and I get it, this team, they need some right? They need some momentum at the end of the day, and they need to score in the first quarter. But if that takes the life out of you, then, how mentally tough is this team at the end of the day? That's my question.
And Pete, I've been watching Tom all his entire career. It's just this year he just looks. I know outside he's going through a lot. I get it, and honestly, a lot of people ain't gonna agree, but I personally think that Tom has no business on the field right now. My personal opinion. I'm not gonna go into all that, but this man just looks. He looks off. He looks upset. He looks frustrated. He just, and you add that, and he's starting to, every now and then he misses a practice. Right. You got to be at your practices with your team. You got to start off the season and be fully dedicated. And I just don't see that in Tom Brady this year.
There's a lot of fans had the same thing. They said the same thing about him going to the wedding last week, about missing the 10 days of practice.
Why are you flying to a wedding?
I don't know.
On an important game that you just got your ass handed to the previous week.
I don't know, my friend. I don't know at this
So
point.
long story short, if we're going to win, it's still early in the season. I don't know if you think we're even halfway through yet.
My question for the night for all the fans, this includes you. Do you think they can turn it around? Do you have faith?
I think they can, but not in the hands of Todd Bowles. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think that was the worst. I think that's where the Bucs messed up at. Had they not learned what Bowles did with the Jets, had we not, he just looks lost. You got our offensive coordinator and Leftwich calling the same shit every week. That is not going to win a ball game. Especially, I will say one thing.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people all week destroy our defense. I'm going to say this about the defense, and I'm going to let you go because I know there's a lot of people coming in today, like I said.
Sure.
I got to say hats off to our defense. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you got to remember the first couple games when the Bucs were doing shit on offense, starting with that Cowboys game, lights out, okay?
Right.
I understand we got some injuries, and I understand, I thought the Bucs defense was very good the first couple games.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Bucs defense is on the field all the time. I don't know why it seems like that.
Well,
maybe it's because we're going
because you're going
3 and out and going 4 on 4th down.
Right. You're not getting anything. You're not getting any points on the board besides a field goal versus the
against a fourth string quarterback with our elite offense we have, and we score 3 points.
Yes,
come
2
on.
for 12 on 3rd down will not get it done.
That is on one person and one person only, Todd Bowles. Now I'm going to say this before I let you go. How many people now, right now, sitting where we stand right now, is missing Arians?
I think it's a good point. I think it's definitely a good point. Yeah,
Come
absolutely.
on. Because that man had that point. That man, and see, that's the thing about Todd Bowles. He seems just too laid back.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce in everybody's faces. Get it together. Todd Bowles just looks straight lost and way too relaxed. And if you're that relaxed and letting the team do whatever the hell they want, we're not going to win ball games.
No
and I just think that's where we are.
No urgency at all. Let me give you the Ric Flair.
Woo!
Appreciate the
all right,
call.
Pete. I just wanted to put my opinion. I appreciate you, man. As always, I've been watching the show.
All right, man. Sounds good. And keep watching and keep on calling in. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We got Harry the Greek in the back. He's going to come out here. He's going to give his thoughts. He's broken down game tape. Let me read these comments, and then we'll get out to the professional handicapper extraordinaire. First, Bucs suck. Roger says not. First, Troy again. See you at work, Roger. Corey says 15 or 20 injuries like last season. Roger Shoe, what happened to all the picks on the wall behind you? That was the video from the other day, Roger. Great job. Juana says, hi. What's going on, Juana? Troy, I can't wait till we fire Leftwich and Bowles. It's so plain boring. Dude has no energy whatsoever. Roger says it's an everything problem. Juana, again, the only sports show I watch. You are so energetic, Peter. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Let's go out to Roger. Tampa Bay 3 and outs. Troy, I think Juana wants some Peter. I think you should shut up.
Shut up!
Run the damn ball. Brady can pass when needed. All right, so let's go out to Cherry there. Talk your yes, we'll do that. Absolutely. Let me give you the right player. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and go out to Russ. Brady worried about AB dating his wife. Can't concentrate on football. That's ridiculous and nonsense, and I'm not going to even talk about it. Because what AB has done the last couple weeks, it's complete and total scumbag. That's a scumbag, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. It is personal. That's a scumbag way of treating somebody that actually took you into your home and took you basically under his wing and got you an NFL job. No NFL team wanted to touch this guy because he's a cancer. Complete and total disgrace. All right, let's go out to Roger. Bucs lose against the Ravens. We shall see. Troy says Ravens 45-6 over the Bucs. Corey again, I don't know why players get injured. Maybe heat impact. Look, it's the National Football League, which means not for long, and injuries are a part of the game. That's why you have to draft well. That's why you have to go out into free agency and get depth pieces. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Defense played great into the end of the third. I'm sorry, guys. I'm about to show you a video that is going to make your stomach turn. 9 o'clock hour. Be watching for it. Roger says, Bucs score 3 field goals tomorrow night. Troy, Leftwich and Bowles belong in the circus because they're both clowns. Russ, stop trying to be flashy and play fundamental football. I think that's a good comment, so we'll fire the cannons. Jerry says, I don't know anything about football. I'm just here to say hi. Well, hi to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you. Russ says, where's the defense? Maybe JPP was valuable in a great loss. Maybe he was. Sue, and JPP has already talked about what he's going to do to this team and what they're missing. 28-21. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. R. White needs to get the ball a lot more than Leonard Fournette. Yes, when he's only averaging 52 yards a game, 3.5 yards a carry, and you're running him outside, it makes no sense. Let's go out to Troy. Can't wait to see Brady go to San Francisco and become successful again. Frank, why not trade a player to show the players your job is not safe? You need to perform or you will be replaced is the way to wake up the team. I agree with you. I'll fire the cannons. Let's go out to Cherry. Maybe she can pretend to be his wife still just until we win the Super Bowl. Laugh out loud. I mean, who knows? Anything at this point, right? It's 2022. You see Brady retire. He comes back, and then you hear about all these divorced rumors. And it's going to happen. Does it have an effect? Is it in the back of his mind? Of course it is. He's a human being. He's a man. That's his life. It's not just about football. He does love his wife. He does. So to sit here and say we know what's going on in the back of his mind, we don't. I certainly don't. And I've never been in a relationship like that before, never been married in my life. But can you imagine when you put your heart and soul into a relationship and it's over with and there's nothing you can do about it? Can you imagine if you're going on the football field and people keep on saying you're washed up and you're losing with all those results? Let's go out to Russ here. Panthers Walker is pretty good. Bucs made him look pretty good. Troy Polamalu Bowles is that substitute teacher. No one is scared, not even the shy kids. Sean says we looked out-coached, outplayed, and unprepared. Execution has been poor, and it doesn't look fun anymore. Let's go out to Kerry. Keep the faith, Buck fan in Trinidad. Appreciate it. Let me give you the right player. And Roger Shue says, I love B, and I love doing this.
Shut up!
Because you know you're just trolling. Because nobody likes AB right now. All right, so let's go out to this guy. Let's go ahead and get his intro on. Here we go. Well, there it is. All right, professional handicapper extraordinaire of 1252 Chicago Sports, Mr. Harry the Greek. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. And you have a whole breakdown of this Bucs team. Take it away.
Listen, I really feel bad because Tampa Bay fans have forgot what it's like to be Tampa Bay fans of the past. You've been spoiled. You won a Super Bowl, had high expectations last year. How'd that work out for us? It didn't. How's it working out for this team this year? It's not. And everybody wants to point fingers at coach and staff. I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't like Bruce Arians. Never did. Never liked his coaching mentality. Never liked his system. I have my own reasons for that. But now we're going to start piling on a head coach who was the defensive coordinator for arguably one of the best defenses ever to suit up and play for this and to suit up, not suit up, to have a team suit up for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody wants to trash him because it's his fault. Let me tell you something, Tampa Bay fans. The problem's real simple. It's accumulation of multiple things. Tom Brady, Giselle, no tight end play, the uncertainty of Chris Godwin, Mike Evans dropping one pass. Where's Vita Vea been? Akeem Hicks. I can just keep going on and on and on. There's not one real problem with this, but I do want to circle back to the coaching that everybody just wants to trash with Mr. Todd Bowles. Bruce Arians would have one less win with this team because neither Bruce Arians or Todd Bowles suit up. So before you say this team isn't playing very well, let me give you some statistics. Tom Brady, the 45-year-old washed-up quarterback that shouldn't be playing football that I'm hearing some of these clowns talk about through the internet and the media that's out there, and they're saying, he's washed up. 2,000 yards passing, over a 90 QB rating, and hold on, 8 touchdowns, 1 pick. But those are really good stats. They should have more touchdowns, but they're not because he doesn't have time to throw the ball. So you're not taking the GOAT with a very depleted offensive line, and you're still continuing to throw the ball more than you're running. Hey, Leonard, you've got the most touches. 3.5 yards of carry is not going to help you at all. It's this much of a coaching issue. It's this much of a Bruce Arians issue. So ask me why I think this is a Bruce Arians issue.
Ask me why is this? Because I think it's definitely a coaching issue, and I think they absolutely lost something with not having BA on this coaching staff.
Absolutely. Let me explain why I think this is a Bruce Arians issue.
Sure.
Very, very, very. It's a lot more of a problem than it is for Lord, I just lost my brain. For Todd Bowles.
Right, Todd Bowles.
It's a lot more of an issue than it is for Todd Bowles, and I'm going to tell you why.
Why? Okay.
How would you like it reversed, Peter? Not many people know what you do for work, but if there was a guy, okay, that was working at your place and you took his position and he decided he was going to stay on and he's constantly sitting on your sideline, constantly having an opinion on that sideline, who are these teammates listening to? You see, a lot of people aren't going to agree with me with this. Bruce Arians is not the end-all, be-all. He's not the greatest football coach of all time. He's not even in the same zip code as a George Halas.
To be fair, he is a coach of the year, 2-time coach of the year, and a former Super Bowl champion for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team.
Okay, and he's always had a very, very good team. And let me tell you something. If they were missing this many offensive linemen and didn't have Rob Gronkowski, they never would have smelled the playoffs the year they went to the Super Bowl. End of conversation. It definitely wouldn't have worked for him because I didn't give a reason why I felt the way I did. because Bruce Arians throws the ball down the field more than any quarterback in the National Football League. And what is the main thing that you need as a quarterback to be able to play downfield football? It's called an offensive line to give you protection and time. He's only been sacked once this year. These are all phenomenal statistics, but I'd love to see the stat on how many times he's pressured. Are you ready? Over 35% of his dropbacks, he's being pressured.
It's not going to get it done. And that, to me, is coaching. That is Byron Leftwich, and that is Todd Bowles.
Hold on. That's why I said you'd have one less win with Bruce Arians this year, because he'd even throw the ball even more than what they're doing. Peter, you sat there and you watched the first half of the game with me, and we were discussing it, and I'm like, bro, you can't keep throwing the ball downfield every single time. You have to play a vanilla game. What did I say in the pregame show? Everybody remembers it on the over-under. Be careful with a hurt dog. And that's exactly the way I labeled the Carolina Panthers. I'm not trying to offend anybody here. Okay? You're going to continue to throw the ball downfield because this is what this team has been accustomed to. FYI, it's not that type of offense right now. And until you revamp this offensive line or bring in some help or get some more continuity, you need to run this football and play ugly football. His 3.5 yards a carry might be more if they fed him the ball 10 more times a game, because eventually it opens it up.
To be fair, I tell you what, hold on, because somebody wants to talk to you really quick.
Who is it?
We want to go out to Alex. Alex wants to talk to you.
Oh.
Alex, welcome back to the Evolution using your second call. You're on with yours.
Hi, Alex.
Go ahead, Harry the Greek. Go ahead.
Harry, my buddy, what's up, bud?
What's up,
You knew I wanted to call back and talk to Harry.
Go ahead, go for it.
What's up, buddy?
And not
Question
much.
for you about everything you just said, okay? It seems like you're trying to defend the coaching, okay? But I'm going to ask you this.
Hold on. And I'm the one that's been kicking them in the teeth the past 3 years. But this isn't so much. This is the coaching issue in this team, Alex, is a very small piece to it. It's a player issue. It's simple, man. This team is banged up.
But I have a question. I get that. But that's not our issue. Why are you continuing to why are we doing the same shit every week? Why are we running the ball 4th and 1, giving it to Fournette? So predictable. 3rd and 1, same predictable shit. That's coaching.
Yeah, and it's on first down. You're running the ball, and then
first down, running the ball.
A situation where it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. Leonard Fournette is terrible with picking up that extra yard. As crazy as that sounds, and I'm not saying it's all Lenny at the end of the day.
No, I'm not.
No, it's
Alex,
offensive
Peter,
line. Yes.
Read my lips.
Yes, George.
You better play generic, fundamental football.
I feel
if
like
you want to win. You haven't.
I feel like
okay. No, the first couple of games they were playing basic, fundamental football because the offensive line was hurt, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're going to chuck the ball 55 times downfield. Okay, and then it got out of control. It's the same thing we've been preaching, even when the team was winning. Run the god ball.
No,
okay?
but Harry, I just disagree because I just don't it seems like we're always running the ball. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're onto something. I mean, they tried to run it last week. They had no success. They tried to run it against Pittsburgh. They really had no success at the end of the day.
The only time I seen us honestly throw the ball was, let's say, honestly, they really stopped throwing the ball the moment Mike Evans freaking busted that open dot.
Always running the football. Alex, please. I'm not gonna try to make anybody feel inferior here. 296 passing attempts on the year. Okay. For passing attempts, 148 rushing attempts. That's not a winning record for a football team.
Harry, 100%.
I tend to agree with you on that, but in this case, when your defense can't get off the field and they're giving up 150 yards to running backs you never even heard of.
And Pete, and not to interrupt, but your offense is playing the same predictable shit every week. It's just not going to get it done.
Okay. But I
And
can't
that's
sit
on
here.
coaching, and that's on
Listen,
coaching.
I respect everybody's opinion because everybody should have an opinion. Everybody should have an opinion. But when you bring an opinion, and I'm going to bring you a fact back, that they're running the ball too much, this isn't Jerry Glanville's chuck it and duck it. Wait a minute. It's trying to be still. This needs to be a little bit more dumbed down defense, start running the football because, again, when you have an offensive line that is as bad as this offensive line is right now, you need to run the football
I honestly
because
don't
it sets it up.
But the problem of that is because this offensive line is so bad, they are not only bad in pass protection, but they're also bad with opening up holes. We'll see.
And with that being said, guys, and with that being said, I'm sorry to interrupt. And with that being said, that brings us down to where we are. We are forced to play the same predictable shit every week. And unfortunately, it's just not going to work. Everybody knows, dude, when they're calling in the booth, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. I literally watched it on Sunday.
Anybody watched the Bear game Monday night?
Yeah, I watched the Bear game the other night. They had, I'll tell you the truth.
Hold on. That's running the football too much. Let me go back. Did you know that in the last 2 games, after breaking down tape for Tampa Bay, that the defense is only bit twice on play action? Twice.
Right. And that's either because you don't run
because the linebackers are shadowing up on the line of scrimmage, and so are the safeties.
Sure.
They are putting it into the box, and they're showing it. And it's forcing Tampa and making them impatient to throw the ball downfield. And then they play this cover 3 shell against them. Over 60% of the times they're playing a cover, not a cover 2. They're playing a cover 3 against Tampa because they're saying, you know what? You ain't going to run the ball. So we're going to sit back here and make sure you make a mistake. And they're rushing 4 people and still getting through 5-man protection, 6-man protection.
Agree.
That's why you need to run the football more, because then
I want to go back to something you said earlier, and it kind of made sense. But I agree with you that the Bucs. You said something earlier about. I felt like you were trying to defend the coaching.
I was. And I don't. I am not a fan. I am not. Alex, let me finish. I am not a fan of Todd Bowles or Leftwich or Bruce Arians. I never have, never was. I thought everybody was doing drugs when they said Leftwich should have been the head coach of this football team, and everybody knew that BA is the one that's been calling the plays with Tom Brady. Okay. I've never been a proponent of it, but this is not a coaching issue as much as people think it is. It's more of a personnel issue. And that's what I'm trying to get through people's heads. Don't jump off the ship. Stay away from the Skyway Bridge everywhere, because this team isn't done. This is not a dissertation to tell you how bad this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is. All they got to do is switch up the coaching a little bit to go ahead and coach around the talent that you currently have. And you know what? If you don't want to be on the field defensively, that means you better stop somebody. They're not getting the turnovers like they were, and I'm sorry to keep interrupting you because I don't have a long time. I want to get this point across. I break game film down. I'm not watching it from a fan's perspective. This 100%. Defense right now is not very good. They're going to get really good, okay? But they're not playing very well. They are missing. They are missing the key hits.
I want to say one more thing, Harry, which I agree with you upon. I think everything falls back on, I think we all had expectations that, we're going to have an elite roster come back and everybody's going to become healthy. But I think this all started because, when Tom is hurting and you can see, mentally and, he's hurt, he's hurt with the media. It's all messed up. And what's going on in his personal life, honestly, I think is nobody's damn business. It's my personal opinion on that. But when Tom is just not checked in, everybody else is going to follow behind that.
And don't even get me started. And don't even get me started about the leader of your football being Tom Brady going to a wedding. the day before you're supposed to do a walkthrough. Don't even get me started when I made a comment about missing 11 days of practice and people were making fun of me. You're the leader of this football team.
I actually agree with you.
Lead by example.
Alex, we got to run. We got another call here.
Okay, all right, guys.
I got to go.
All right, my friend. Hold on. Rick, stand by here. Harry, go ahead and promote yourself and get out of here. Finish up your point. Rick will get out to you in a moment.
What Rick?
Rick Danford.
Hi, Rick. How are you, buddy? I wish I could stay on and help you guys out. I'm only going to be on for just another 30 seconds. I'm going to promote myself. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and make sure you post them. Peter will go ahead and read it live on the air. I'm Harry the Greek. I'm usually Peter's co-host here on the Sports Web, but you can catch me on Sunday morning on 1252 Sports and on the Sports Web on the Over Under. It's 10 a.m. Eastern. Have a really good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Peter, continue doing the great work that you're doing. But Buck fans, let me leave you with this one thing. Stay away from the Skyway Bridge. It's not the end of the world. It just needs to improve a little bit on the offensive line. Run the football even more than what people think that you're running it, and this team will be okay because the defense will get healthy. This is a really bad division, and the season's not over. And by the way, here's an early pick for Thursday night. The Bucs are an underdog by 1 point. They win by 10 this week. NFL stands for what?
No freaking logic. All right.
Damn right.
This guy right here will make you some money. It's handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports, Mr. Harry the Greek. Thanks a lot for your time here.
Take care.
All right, good stuff there. We got the madman Mark Mancini in the lobby. We'll get him on in just a little bit. Let me go out to you, Rick. Your thoughts on this debacle, if you will, versus the Carolina Panthers on Sunday as the Bucs fall to 3-4. Welcome to the Sports Web.
Yeah, I think that that game was well. First off, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I definitely think that game was just in time for Halloween,
right?
Because that was about the best horror movie I ever saw.
Well, it was a lot better than Halloween Ends. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
right?
You got that right. All right. Basically, to me, it's really simple. I mean, I heard your last caller and talking about Tom's not right and he's suffering mentally and this and that. I don't really buy into that. I know that he's having issues at home, but Tom Brady's been in this league far too long, and he's the one guy that I would say that can easily, focus on what needs to be done and just take care of business rather than letting his outside life creep into it. So I don't think that it wasn't him thinking about Giselle that caused Mike Evans to drop that easy, beautiful long pass touchdown. I mean, it's just things are just happening the wrong way. But to me, if you really want to find out what it boils down to, in my mind, everything boils down to coaching and play calling. It's all coaching and play calling. If you look at this team, this roster, there is far too much talent still on this team to be where we are right now. There's far too much talent on this team to put out the effort that we saw against the Carolina Panthers this weekend. It's inexcusable. This team is going out there. They're showing no heart. They're showing no juice. They're showing no creativity. It seems like they're stepping on the field with the idea that somebody's already chalked up the win for them. So all they got to go is to go out there, run up and down the sidelines, go home and count your win. This team doesn't understand that everybody's gunning for them, that anybody can win on any given Sunday, and you're going to have to go out there and perform. And when you're shown with the play calling is the way it is, so vanilla, and it's being mentioned all over the place in the national sports radio shows and everything else, that this play calling is vanilla. I'm sitting on the couch and saying it. Here we go. Leonard Fournette right up the middle. Leonard Fournette right up the middle. It's just so many little things that I see that there's just no creativity in that play calling. Now, I can understand, when he said a little bit about, it's just, execution and this and that. That's fine. And I can see that in some aspects. I can see that in certain things. I know we've got some injuries here and there on the offensive line. I understand that. But what team out there doesn't? There's other teams with more devastating injuries than we've got, and they're out there performing. The bottom line is that there is too much talent on this team to be where we are. So to me, it all boils down to coaching. I'm starting to wonder if maybe Todd Bowles is not the right choice. I love Todd Bowles. I like the guy a lot. I really do. But I think maybe he's just more of an X's and O's coach, and maybe he's not meant to be the leader of men because I don't think people are dialed in on him. I'm not sure about our OC either. I want to like him. I really do, and I did when things were going well. But I think we're missing a little bit of that juice that Bruce Arians brought to that sideline. I understand that his cup was overflowing with juice, right, and maybe that's what caused some of the issues. But I think he kept them in check. I think he kept them sharp, and I think that's where our issue is. But I will say in closing, the bottom line is I agree with what Harry just said. At the end of the day, if you really think about it, it's not the end of the world. We're in a horrible division. We're right where we basically want to be at this point. All we got to do is turn it around this week, start racking together some wins or whatever. All we got to do is win that division and get that home playoff game and get into the playoffs and start getting healthy towards the end of the season, and all will be right in the universe. We were all screaming the ceiling was falling or whatever when we were 7-5 in 2020, and things turned out pretty good.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I really think that it's just a little bit of figuring out what needs to be done, getting these guys to realize that you've got to go out there and perform. Everybody's got to go out there and stand on their head and show them what we're made of, because there's too much talent on this team to be where we are.
Do you think they can turn this thing around? Do you have faith still in this team and this coaching staff that they can get it done and turn it around?
I have faith in this team. I think if you look offensively, there's too much talent there. If you look defensively, there's too much talent there as well. I understand we have our injuries, but at the end of the day, if there's still too much talent, there's still too much veteran talent out there to get it done. So yes, with our schedule and especially with the division that we're in, if we were in the AFC, we'd be done already. It's already gone. Forget about it. But where we are right now, just worrying about the Saints and the Falcons and the Panthers, I don't think we have any issue whatsoever. Even if we lose Thursday, I still don't think the world is falling. But I think he's right. I think Thursday in prime time, everybody realizes now this team is finally going to get it together. If our OC can figure out a game plan that actually keeps people guessing, if we figure out a way to chip people at the offensive line to cover up some of the holes that we have on that offensive line, maybe even roll Tom out every once in a while and shock the world, because he does have legs, okay? Let's do something crazy like that. I think that we can find a way to get away from the rush, find a way to get these stud receivers that we still have, and Evans and Godwin, who are two of the best in the business.
Yes.
A lot of teams don't have one great receiver, much less the two that we have. So to me, like I said, there's too much firepower. When you've got a guy like Tom Brady who's seen it all and is as accurate as he is and can do what he can do, there's no excuse whatsoever.
All right, good stuff. Any final thoughts, my friend?
No, just go Bucs, and great show, and I love supporting you, and I love you guys all to death, so I'll be tuning in.
Absolutely. Use that second call, and definitely watch for this defensive breakdown, because it's going to make your stomach turn. Trust me, all right? Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair right there. Appreciate you. Rick, thanks a lot for the call brother. Here on the Sports Web. All right, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web live on I Love St. Pete, the hub, and Amped Up Sports. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go back out to these comments, and then we will get out to our guest. As always, Roger Shue says, you loved AB when you all were winning. Yes, we did love him because he was being a good teammate instead of quitting on his teammates. Instead of tweeting out and doing stupid stuff. Stupid. All right, let's go out to Corey. Bucs 17-10 over the Ravens. Noted. And the question for the night out there for fans, do you still have faith in the Bucs to turn this around? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Ban her. This is a football channel, Sports Web. Hello. We don't ban anybody besides you. Shut up! There you go. Cherry with 100. Like it. Let me go ahead and give you the Ric Flair for that. Let's go out to Russ. Quit throwing deep and just get the first down. I agree with that, Russ. Again, wife might ride a broom. Never know. That's been talked about. I'm not going to get into that because I guess anything is possible, right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not going to get into witchcraft or is she a witch or casting spells. And I get it. It's Halloween. But come on. Come on. All right, Sean says, Buckaholics PA, love it. Thank you very much for the support. Let me fire those cannons. Let's go out to Troy Palomayu. Whoa, how did Harry get here? He was just on the Big Mike show while you were watching. Thanks a lot for the support as always. Russ says, no JPP, no Gronk equals mediocre team. And look, I don't necessarily think it's JPP and Sue. Look, they brought a leadership to it, right? They were catalysts for this defense to a certain degree. You know, their skills are not necessarily there. They've seen their best days, right? Sue has not been signed yet by a team. There's a reason. He's seen his best days. He probably wants more money. But leadership, you can't put a price on it. That's that accountability that I'm about to show you with this defense, which they didn't have last Sunday. Disgusting. Watch, Bucs fans. Watch what the problem is. You want to talk about the offense? We can talk about the offense until we're blue in the freaking face. But your defense is supposed to be your staple. It's supposed to stop the run. It's supposed to get the ball back on a short field. It's supposed to cause turnovers and cause sacks. And by the way, Todd Bowles is the head coach. He's a defensive-minded guy. So why is all this stuff going on? We'll get into it in just a little bit. Preach Greek says Roger. Russ says no Gronk, no great Brady. I told you how much of a loss Gronk would be. People were laughing at me. Just a tight end. Washed up, inline blocker. Can not only open up holes in the run game, but also protect your quarterback there, the greatest of all time. He's also a pass-catching threat in the red zone. By the way, Bucs have struggled in the red zone. Why? No Gronk. No Gronk. Keep on saying it over and over again. Oh, we're going to be able to replace him. Oh, really? A Hall of Fame tight end? Really? Okay. Let's see here. Sean says, I've been a fan since the 80s, so that's new to me. It's a Bucs life. Christopher Cole says, AB is a poor excuse for a human being and doesn't deserve any attention. Agreed. Go out to Pig Dog. Peter and Harry, what do you think the refs and Evans were doing after the game? Do you buy the golf lesson story? Because that was in the news. Looked like the refs were trying to get Mike Evans autographed. Of course, the NFL investigated and found out that the ref wanted Mike Evans' number so he could give him some golf lessons. I don't make this up. This is what was reported. Is it a good look? No, it's not a good look. Did it help in any way? No, it didn't help in any way. It's still not a good look. You can't do it. Because when you open up Pandora's box and you start to see refs that are hanging out with players, then you start to say, well, why did he miss that call? Why did he miss that call? It's just like gambling being put into sports. I get it. It's an end thing right now that's being done, but it puts that doubt in the back of your mind. It makes professional competitive sports, like my father used to say, God bless you in heaven, Pop, sports entertainment. Wrestling is sports entertainment. NFL is not sports entertainment. You don't want that to happen. All right, let's go out to Brandon. Akeem Hainsworth. Time to earn your money. We'll see if he comes back tomorrow night. According to Todd Bowles, he's doubtful. I think he's been doubtful for the whole year. Guy has to play in this defense in order for them to have any impact, in my opinion. This run defense hasn't done enough. We'll get to it in a moment. Alex says, bro, it's on coaching. When you continue to run on 4th and 1, etc., that's on coaching. Agreed. Russ says, Lenny needs to wake up and get off his butt and run the ball effectively. Troy, oh my God, Harry, that was deep and sad, sentimental speech. I don't know what you just said, but I'll do this. Wanda says, hi, Harry the Greek. What's going on? Things will change when Jensen comes back, especially for the offense. Another loss. I mean, you look at how many offensive linemen you lost on this unit. Ali Marpet retiring. That's a loss. He was a Pro Bowler. He's 28. Oh, we can replace him. With what? A rookie? Really? Come on. You lose Ryan Jensen, who's a Pro Bowler. You lose Alex Cappa to free agency. There's lots of changes there. What have we talked about with this team overall? They have to have consistency. They have to have all the players there every year. If you don't, if you have all those changes, it doesn't work out for you. And we're going to get on with James Cannida here in just a moment. Mark Mancini, hold on. We'll get you on just a little bit also. Want to read these comments, and I'll get out to my defensive breakdown, which, again, Bucs fans, pay attention. It's going to turn your stomach. And it should be the players that you're counting on that are having the biggest gaffes. That's the disappointing thing with this breakdown. Things will change when Jensen comes back, so we read that. Corey says Tom Brady and Byron Leftwich fight, call play having disagree on offense. Russ says losing 21-3 means we lost on the line of scrimmage. Of course. That's where you win most of your ball games, and that's why you're losing a lot of your ball games, because your offensive line is giving up pressure, and they're not opening up holes consistently enough in the run game. Greg says, hey, Harry, love you, man, but come on, man. Russ says, Bucs and Packers are both playing mediocre football and have Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Greg says, this team is certainly not built for the run. Facebook user need to get back to basics and build on that. Russ says, any team can be beaten on any given Sunday. That's why pro football is the way it is. Frank says, we have not used the trip set to even rub receivers free underneath. What happened to the 3 tight end set they used once and worked, but always go back to running to the left, which does not work. And hopefully you don't see it tomorrow night. But Luke Gedeke will not be playing in this game, so it will be Nick Leverett, a former guest of this show a long, long time ago with Joshua Cole Allen of Pewter Report. We had him on. Harry Peter wanted Leftwich as a head coach. Christopher Cole, it's not the run call, it's the design of the play. Russ, I've always wanted Riverboat Ron Rivera in Tampa. Micah, fly Eagles fly, as they're 6-0 and made a big-time trade today for Robert Quinn for a 4th-round pick. Congratulations. Alex, tell him to stop dropping most every damn pass that comes his way. Troy, I hope they widen the Skyway Bridge for them Bucs fans. And for that, you get this. Russ says, Thomas 45, age creeps up on you. That's right. Father Time is undefeated. Do I think it's all on Tom Brady? No. Do I think he's playing at his best? No, of course not. Roger says, Giselle, white magic. Enough with the stupid white and black magic garbage. I think it shows in the locker room that Brady isn't all in. That's why the other players have been half-assing it. When the leader of your team walks away from your all freaking wedding, how can you expect other grown men to follow him? And have you ever heard of a starting quarterback, I don't care who it is, ever taking 2 days off for somebody's wedding? People don't even go to their immediate family's funeral to stay with the team. Roger says, when your D sucks, none of it matters. David says, why the hell haven't we brought anybody in with the trade? Are we just not offering enough, or are we not looking at all? I'm not ready to rule that out. Trade deadline is Tuesday. So if it continues to happen like this, you got a link for me. I will send that to you, Jacob. Thank you very much. We'll get you on in just a little bit. Evans already Hall of Famer. Agree. Exactly. Russ says, lost my pop too. God bless you. He took me to the sombrero back in the day, as my father did when the Bucs stunk. And even those offenses were better than what we saw on friggin' Sunday. Troy says, football is entertainment. Vegas decides all the games. Enough with you. Great O-line equals success. Russ says, sign Uncle Rico to the offensive line. And Frank says, why the Bucs grab a lineman in their trade? There are some available. That is certainly possible. All right, let's get out to this breakdown from Brian Baldinger of NFL Network on your defense and what they did against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Watch very closely.
3rd and 1 Sunday. They can't get lined up. It's 3rd and 1. Like, they can't get into the right set. Like, people are moving the ball snap. Defense tackle's on the ground. He's not set. Nobody's set. Chuba Hubbard goes for 6 and a 1st down. All right, now, here we go. They got the Bucs here, like, on a skating rink. Like, their longest run they'd given up before this was 27 yards. Like, Devin White's on skates. Like, nobody's getting off a block. And Dante Foreman, I don't know when they picked him up at the bus stop. Nobody could tackle him, though. I know that. Just all that grabbing going on. 60 yards from Dante Foreman. Like, they blitzed to stop these read option all day. And they never came close to, like, getting sound. Like, who's in the C gap? All right, we got Vita Vea over here. He's in that. There they come. Like, who's in the gap? Nobody. Chuba Hubbard goes for a 17-yard touchdown. Like, can somebody explain, like, these breakdowns? Here it is again. Here comes the same blitz off the edge from Edwards on this read option. Is anybody going to be in this gap? Anybody supposed to be there? Like, it's so unsound. Run fits. You should put a blindfold on these defenders and run just run fits over and over again. Like, that's what this game is. You talk about a run fit? 3 tight ends, 13 personnel. Anybody going to contain this? Anybody? Here goes Foreman for 27 yards. Like, this should never happen. Those 2 backs, Foreman and Hubbard, averaged over 7 yards a carry. Over 7 yards a carry. And it'd be good on this 3rd and 11 right here. If, like, why are you squatting on this little sit route by DJ Moore? Like, that's the threat. Like, here it is, just a 7 cut. They act like they'd never seen it before. Like, it's just, I thought it was bad in Pittsburgh, and it was bad. But this is the Carolina Panthers right now. Like, how did this happen? They've completely fallen apart.
And they have completely fallen apart. Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Good stuff there. Let me go ahead and get on our next guest because there was a reason why I played that. Because we got a former defensive tackle in the house who actually played the game and can give us some insight. That's what we do here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Mr. James Cannida, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer defensive tackle, played for various teams and also do a podcast now. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. And you watch that breakdown. How upset are you seeing this defense and knowing what they can do, what they've done in their Super Bowl year to play at the level they played last Sunday?
That's football 101 when it comes from the defensive line standpoint right there. And to sit back and watch that, one, as a defensive player, you know in the game what you did right or wrong, but that had to make for a very tough film session on Monday to go on to see that gaps were left uncovered, guys were getting pushed around. And like I said on a show the other day, right now it looks like that we just have no fight in us at all. And it's hard watching a team that you see be dominant in the past with majority of these same guys back on defense missing something right now. And right now I think the fire of Ndamukong Suh we're missing, and JPP we're missing that fire as well, because there were certain things those guys wouldn't deal with, and we're getting pushed around right now by two teams, to me, honestly, that I think had no business being in the game with us.
I mean, you watch the game of football, you see this going on. Is that on the players? Of course, it's on the players, but is that more on the players or is that on coaching? Because all we hear here, James, is how this team is not executing, no execution. But at the end of the day, those excuses run thin. This has to be on somebody. It has to be on coaching, right?
I put it on both of them, because the one thing you got to remember, NFL, this is a professional sport. It's a business. It's a job. Players get paid to make plays also. I have to believe that these guys know their technique, they know their assignments, and they know what gaps they're supposed to be in. So to see guys just miss like they are, like one play, the second one that went down, you got your nose guard coming in supposed to be A, he's peeking. They get the drive out on him, and he gets pushed in the B gap, and they cut right back in the A gap where he should have been. That's bad eyes by your defensive lineman. You cannot peek. You got to play your gap, believe the run keys that you see, and control your run fits.
What has happened to Vita Vea? Because a lot of people say, Ndamukong Suh not being a part of this team anymore has been a big reason of that. But you pay a Vita Vea. We heard from Todd Bowles just a couple weeks ago how he said there were players on this team that were living off that Super Bowl win. I mean, is that what you see from this line, including Avea? Because you pay that guy so much money, and you know that he can basically wreck a house and dominate games when he gets that penetration, but you're not seeing that, and that's why you're seeing a team like the Carolina Panthers without a Christian McCaffrey still run for over 150 rushing yards.
Yeah, but let's be realistic with it. Every great defensive lineman, he usually has somebody else there along the line that can hold things down. And right now, he can get double teamed or blocked because there's no one else demanding the same type of pressure next to him. You say what you want. I mean, a lot of people say what they want about Ndamukong Suh late in his career. He was still someone that you had to account for on that front. Whereas, so now who are you going to block in the middle? You know what I mean? And right now, we thought Hicks was going to be that guy to be able to help open things up for us, as far as you can't block him and Vea at the same time. And he's been out with the foot. So it's just, to me, I think it's showing that I believe Vita Vea is still a great NFL defensive lineman, but it's also showing that he had a lot of help with the people that played aside him at the same time.
And we're on a former Bucs defensive tackle, James Cannida here. Big game, James, with this podcast on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Thanks a lot for your time. You talk about the defensive tackles because you were at that position, but of course, we know that a lot of that is predicated when you have those double and triple teams, especially those big guys in the middle. It's supposed to free up a JTS, a Joe Tryon, Shayenka, and of course the Shaq Barrett. What do you see out of those players, especially a JTS? Because I got to tell you, man, I'm not a guy that's played defensive end, but I've watched a lot of football in my time, and it just seems like a lot of the time the guy's out of position. He's over pursuing. Is that what you see from him?
Yeah, a lot of it. And, I said early on in a preseason prediction that this was going to have to be a coming out year for him if the defense was going to have the success that, they wanted to have or copied from 2 years ago, that he was going to have to step up and make plays. Right now, it seems like he's having a hard time in his run pass keys. A lot of times on run plays, he's about 5 yards up the field, which is way too deep, creating extra cutback lanes and not taking away that outside gap when he needs to, and still not having a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback. So it's things that he has to fix and shore up. Now I believe he's a very talented young player and thinks that he can do it. But I think they thought, and the fans wanted it, that he would be ready a year sooner than what it looks like he's going to be ready right now. Because right now it looks like it's not going to be the breakout season that we all wanted to see. Although we do have a lot of games left, the Buccaneers are setting up a pattern of repeating bad plays, and it's not looking like it can be fixed yet. And the thing is, everybody's like, "No panic, don't worry," but we're seeing too many of the same small mistakes that championship teams don't make.
Can you talk about the linebacking play a little bit? I mean, you got Levante David. He's a veteran. He's been on this team. But Devin White is supposed to be the player that's going to step up, take his game to the next level, earn that contract. But what we've seen out of White is inconsistency. Is that what you see also over pursuing? I mean, what do you see out of Devin White, in your opinion?
I've seen that this year, and I've had a couple discussions with different people saying, and I mean, I've had some people straight out come on, in my comment box bashing Devin White, and I was like, I'm not going to go that far, but at the same time, to be supposed to be that leader, that firecracker, that thing you want to see, he's out of position a lot, and it just those highlights alone that you played, it's just like, oh my God. I mean, when you slow that down and see what it looks like, it doesn't look like all pro linebacker that's working on getting a contract right now. It's just, it seems like there's so many other distractions going on the team because no one seems to be locked in and focused on anything. But yeah, I'm really surprised by the play of Devin White right now, and not surprised at how good it is, but surprised that he's been out of position a lot of different times.
Can you shed some light on run fits and kind of explain to the web heads out there and the fans watching the show how important that is and what exactly are run fits?
Well, your run fit is like how everybody lines up and fits into a gap. So whether it be your 3-4, your 4-3s, or 3-3, 5-stack, depending no matter what you're running, you have a run fit. So everyone's accounts for a gap along the offensive defensive line. So linebackers play off of D linemen, and D linemen are really pivotal in being the first ones to be in the correct gap. So those gaps can be filled correctly by your linebackers, your safeties, and everything else. And right now you're looking at, sometimes we have two guys in the same gap, which makes it very, very easy for the offensive line, to get that block and to move up to the next level to, work further down into the next level of the defense. And everyone's got to be on the same page. So if we're running 3 people up front or 4 people up front, if 3 people are in the right gap and that one person on the edge is not on the outside where they say set the edge, you're going to create that zone read and those big runs like you saw. And it's pivotal because everyone has an important role to play, and one person being off can mess it up for everybody else.
You talked about the distractions on this team. Do you think Tom Brady and the off-the-field stuff, missing 10 to 11 days of training camp, missing for a wedding, has had an impact for this team? And let me just put you in that locker room. If you were a part of that, would that be in the back of your mind that maybe this guy isn't all in, even though he's the greatest of all time? Do you think that you would feel, or do you think this defense feels like he's not all in? And is that having an impact on their play?
I believe it is, Peter. I'm from the Tony Dungy era, and everyone was accountable. We may have bickered and guys may have not gotten along in the locker room sometimes, but at the end of the day, everyone was there to work. Everyone was accountable. No one was at a higher standard to where they could just leave and take time off. And I don't care what you say. I believe that, practice and reps builds that continuity and gels the team together, and you need it. And if I'm sitting back and on the defense and I'm working my behind off, I'm at camp every day, I'm not taking days off, I'm gonna feel a certain way when I look across. And I mean, and people will easily say, but it's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. He can do that and be okay. No, he didn't become the GOAT by just taking plays off and not being in practice when he wanted to, right? It's things he's doing at this point in his career. Is like you got to choose which one. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a quarterback, or do you want to be, at your old owner's wedding and having a good time hanging out and missing the work that it clearly shows there's a lack of chemistry right now.
You talk about chemistry and you talk about being a part of that Tony Dungy coaching staff. And of course, he always called upon his defense to basically lead the way when his offense couldn't necessarily score enough points. But eventually that kind of wears thin. Do you feel like that's happening or could happen eventually with this team because the defense is on the field for so long and the offense is so ineffective?
Yeah, that's a great point. If the offense can't sustain drives and give defense the amount of rest and the break they need on that sideline to endure an NFL game, it's going to wear thin. And then the defense is going to start losing confidence. Like, hey, why do I need to do what I'm doing? They're not going to score anyway. It's just going to be right back on us. And it's going to be real bad all the way around.
What do you see from this offense? I mean, if you're a defender, you're trying to defend it. I mean, it's pretty elementary, if you will. You know when they're going to run. You know when they're going to pass. I mean, what does this offense, in your opinion, need to change to turn this around?
I think the offense really needs to find a true identity. I said this a few weeks back on Big Game's Pewter Perspective, that 1 week they want to try to come run the ball to death, and the next week they want to throw it over 50 plus times, and there's no balance. There's no real identity. It's like, well, we didn't do enough in training camp to know what we want to do and what we can do well, so let's try a little bit of everything. And if you don't know what you're doing week to week or what you do well to maximize in your game plan, you're not going to have a lot of success. And right now, there's no success because there's no true identity to what they're doing.
Is that because of leadership? I mean, we talked about the losses in the offseason. You lose a Sue, you lose a JPP, you lose a Gronk, you lose an Ali Marpet. You would think that Tom Brady's a leader, but you talked about some of the stuff he's doing off the field. I mean, how important to you was leadership in the locker room you were a part of and Tony Dungy's coach, and how important do you think it is to this locker room?
Well, I say it all the time. I was on a team where the standard was set, and I knew that day one coming into my first rookie minicamp. You look, when I came in, I had Hardy Nickerson was our middle linebacker, John Lynch back in the secondary, Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp. You knew what the standard was of the defense coming in, and you knew you weren't going to be able to take plays off, not go hard in practice. They held you accountable. And right now, I don't know where the accountability lies. And the reason I loved it being a young player learning like that is your coaches only had to say so much to you because they knew they had the guys on the field that was going to do a lot of the dirty work as far as pushing you and motivating you and keeping you going. And right now, I feel like I'm looking at a team that's looking for someone to be the leader and step up. And no one's done that. And most of the time, it's going to be with your play. And no one stepped up to make the plays they need to make right now to be that leader on the team.
And we're with former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mr. James Cannida, who also has a great podcast, Big Game Sports. James, their Big Game Sports Buzz here on The Evolution. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. BA, a lot of fans thought, losing him, great transition to Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, they would be okay. Do you feel like that's what this team is missing? That fire, if you will, to put a fire under those players' asses in a Bruce Arians?
And I feel a couple of different ways about this. It's going to seem funny because every coach has their own style. Every style works different for every person, right? Bruce BA had a way of doing things and saying things. You could tell probably behind closed doors, he's going to let them have it pretty good. Not saying Bowles needs to be that guy, but it needs to be pieces like that around in places. I'm still puzzled how to me, the whole thing was weird the way it went down in the offseason anyway. Here it is all of a sudden, Bruce Arians decided he's going to step away from the sideline. Todd Bowles is going to become the head coach, and he's going to just be a consultant of sorts, right? And then next thing you know, Tom Brady's back. So it's like, how did this all work up? How do you go from being a leader then to all of a sudden, like, I'm just going to take a different role and step back and hand this thing off to someone else? I don't think it was very well thought out, planned, and no one knew what the chemistry was going to be like with this same coaching staff without that main piece there. Because we know Coach Tony Dungy was a level-headed, mild-mannered coach as far as like when it came to yelling and screaming. But he had different pit bulls and places to tear into your behind when he needed to get that fire going. So he could be that good cop while he had Monty Kiffin be that bad cop if he needed him to be.
Can you talk about Dungy's coaching style? I mean, I got an opportunity on this show to interview him a couple of times. What did you learn from him? Was there a moment that a lot of people never saw? Because you talked about it. Did he ever chew out a player that you can talk about a little bit? Give us a little insight.
He's gotten into some of everybody in that locker room before. I seen him and Sapp have a heated conversation in words. They're probably the cleanest words you heard a coach say when he's upset. But at the same time, he got his point across. Like, I don't care if it's from the highest paid player on the team to the lowest paid player on the team. We want things done a certain way, and if you don't do it that way, there's going to be consequences for it. Now, the exchange was a little heated, and 10 minutes later, both guys said, I understand, but they own little apologies, and they kept things going. But his style, it was what it was. There's really no sugarcoating it. He did it a certain way. He let you know when you were doing good. He let you know you were doing bad. It was just the way he went about doing it to where you're like, all right, coach. It almost, to me, it was like one of those things as a child, like if you let your parents down, you feel bad about it. So it's like, if you didn't go out and make a play, it's like, dang. I got to talk to Tony about not being in the A gap when I was supposed to be in the A gap, and they breaking that run for 30 plus yards. Like, dang, I don't want to do this.
Who were the guys besides Sapp that held the other players in that locker room accountable?
Brooks, big time, Lynch, even Rondé Barber, Donnie Abraham at the time was at the cornerback, but that the vocal guy was Sapp. That was his thing. The glue to me that held it all together was D Brooks, and the one to encourage you, tell you the thing that you needed to hear to help you want to make a play, but just and still just led by example. As far as like the extra work outside of the meeting times, coming in, working out early, getting an extra day of workout in. Like, hey man, why don't you go get these legs in with me today? Like, man, that's a all pro. Okay, yeah, I got you. Let's go. Let's hit the weight room. So those were those vocal pieces, and then from an offensive standpoint, it was a little bit different. We didn't have a lot of rah type guys until Keyshawn got there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we had guys that worked. Mike Allstar was one of the hardest workers. Work done earlier. When he was there before he left to go to Atlanta. Super hard worker. The whole offensive line, they did their thing, but it wasn't. It was a lot more laid back on that side, and he got a lot more vocal when Keyshawn came to town.
Yeah, it's always a good thing, right, to have a mix of players. You don't just want vocal guys, but you also want quiet guys that go about their business. We've heard Derek Brooks is the same way. Let me ask you something. You played the defensive tackle position. Who do you like to watch? Is it Aaron Donald for you and everybody else afterwards, or is there somebody else that you're turning on the film for and saying, man, I got to watch this guy. I got to pay a ticket to see him play?
Aaron Donald is a guy I think that everyone likes to watch to see what he's going to get done. Not to be funny, I know I played in the interior, but I love watching Crosby out in Las Vegas play. It's something about the way he comes in, the way he's on the offensive line. There's no story. No, he's in a high draft pick. I think 4th round or 3rd round, whatever it was, and just to see how he gets after the game. Chandler Jones out there as well. I just like putting on the game and just watching what's going on and who's in the middle and how they're playing. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where even our own team, not trying to be funny, Vita Vea is normally a guy I would love to try to watch. And Jordan Davis, a young D tackle out of Georgia up in Philadelphia right now, he's doing some really good things. And to see him on the film, being able to play at the level he's playing at is pretty cool to watch.
You talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, they're undefeated. Just made a big-time trade today for Robert Quinn. Your thoughts on that? Does that put them over the top? And in your opinion, James, do you feel like the Eagles are for real?
Oh my God, I've been living under a rock. I didn't know that trade happened today.
Yes, 4th-round pick. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's scary. They added that to that. Oh, wow. Yeah. I think that means that they're showing that they're trying to go all in right
Yeah.
now to secure that the NFC East. And I was telling someone I laughed and joked about that division last year and called it the NFC least. And now watching the NFC South, it's like I don't have any room to joke with anyone that's a Cowboys, Eagles, or Commanders fan right now because it's hard to watch NFC South football games right now.
It really is. It absolutely is, because the South has become a joke with the Bucs and, of course, the Falcons being at first place at 3-4. You talk about this matchup tomorrow night with the Baltimore Ravens. You're a defender. How tough is it to defend a guy like Lamar Jackson come in? Not only can he throw from the pocket, but he has over 500 yards of rushing, averaging 7 yards a pop. I mean, talk about that kid.
I mean, when you think about it and look at it, it reminds you of those days when the Buccaneers had to face the Falcons with Michael Vick, right? It's a scary thought, and what he can do with the ball. And the thing that scares me the most coming into this game, Baltimore had been playing great. I think they're just trying to get back on the roll and get things going where they didn't give a lead up. And I think they're going, their team, I believe that's going to play like they have something to prove. And I'm hoping we can match that same intensity. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't Winfield just get announced to be in concussion protocol? I'm not sure we're going to even have him playing.
He's not going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, he's not playing tomorrow. I mean, I heard you talking about in the group, the amount of injuries is wow. And if we play the Ravens anything in the front like we did the Panthers and the Steelers, it's going to make for a very, very, very long night.
Yeah, and that's what you worry about. And, of course, you need to have this win. I've been asking the fans all night long, do you think, James, that they can change that? They can turn this around? This Bucs team can turn it around and eventually salvage the season? Or is it going to continue like this on a downward spiral?
Peter, I've been saying all year that we're okay. We'll get it fixed by next week. The weeks are going by. We're 3-4, and we're about to start running out of weeks here very soon for me to say that everything is going to be okay. I did a story on Monday where I said the Bucs are on a sinking ship, and I really believe that it's going to be hard to jump out of this hole. And I'm not from Missouri, but you're going to have to show me, that you're ready to turn things around and that you're going to get things done and that this slump is over. So until I see it, I don't believe that things are going to be fixed.
Yeah, I like that. I like that thought too. And I said the same thing. I'm not very positive going into this game. For me, I'm very optimistic, but I'm just not sure if they can stop this attack. But I tell you right now, we couldn't stop this guy tonight. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television and definitely come back. You're always welcome, James.
Thank you, sir, for having me. I definitely will. The show is Big Game Sports Buzz. It's on Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can catch it also on YouTube and Facebook. Hey, we're getting real close to hitting those 1,000 subscribers. So please, if you like football and sports content, please make sure that you go to that channel, subscribe, hit that bell so you know every time that we drop brand new content.
Good stuff there. Former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I also believe you played for the Raiders. That's why you got the Raiders influence too.
No, I played for the Colts. I went with Tony from Tampa to Indianapolis, and that's where I finished out at. I did a little bit of time with the Commanders, but didn't get a credited season out of it. But my heart, like I tell everybody, I became a Buccaneers fan because they were the ones that let me live out my childhood dream of playing professional football. So Tampa's always got that place in my heart, and that's why I root for them now. Not just because I played there and it meant a lot to me and my family at that time of my life. And so, I'm still always going to hold them near and dear, and that's going to be the team I root for.
There you go. James Cannida right there, former defensive tackle of the Bucs and the Colts. Thanks a lot for your time. And once again, always welcome here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right, my friend?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, buddy. There you go. Good stuff. So taking you inside the game a little bit, right? I mean, that's what we do. Former football player telling you the distractions in this locker room, they mean something. They do. Point blank. So we'll see if this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team can turn it around. I got the guys in here. I got Jacob Charnow of Hard Count Football Podcast. We'll get out to him in just a moment, and then we'll get out to the guys here. Running a little bit late tonight, but Now that we're moved into holiday, we don't have a curfew, so we don't have to go that early. So the bodyguard of the Berg will be ready. Mark Mancini of Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio will be ready about 10:15. We'll get them on, if not earlier. So let's go back out to the comments. David says we are on pace to be the worst rushing offense in the Super Bowl era. Russ says trade for Montez Sweat from the Commanders. Russ again, stop giving the GOAT Wednesday off. Treat all players equally. Russ says Bucs defense looks like a high school team. Agree. Russ says again, safety nail is on the money every play. Hustles. Let me go out to Russ. If Clemson contained Lamar when he was at Louisville, Bucs can. Great show, Pete. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Love the show, Peter. Keep it up. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you as always. And Roger, bodyguard of, and this is what you get for that. You shouldn't be saying that. And then we'll have Mark Mancini and, of course, Ralph Williams coming on. Let me go out to Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. And we've been talking about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. Let me ask you, what do you see the problems with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be back. I love being on the show as always, Peter. But yeah, I mean, you said it. This is embarrassing. I'll say that, right? This is a team that had very high expectations coming into the season, and now it's kind of evened out, right? If anything, they've been incredibly disappointing. I guess we start with this offense and the fact that they really haven't been able to run the ball at all. And does it come down? I think it comes down to Byron Leftwich. You know, this is something, Peter, we've been saying this, me and you, or since, you know, I've been on your show and we've been in contact, that I think Byron Leftwich is an overrated offensive coordinator. I've said it. I think that he runs some very, very basic offenses. And I like Tom Brady doesn't look great. Leonard Fournette is not picking up those extra yards that he has been, and he doesn't look like he has that extra juice anymore. Tom Brady, something that when you watch the film that he's been doing is obviously something he's never done in his career, but he's not really looking off that first target anymore. He's not really going through his reads. And I think it might be a product of the fact that this offensive line isn't really protecting him all that well. And we know that Brady hates interior pressure, and the guard play and center play for this team have been subpar. So I think it's a mix of a lot of things, and it's just kind of a mess. I mean, they look like a bottom 2 team in their division right now. And that's not exaggerating it, is it?
No, it's not exaggerating at all, Jacob. And I think that's probably the most disappointing thing, because when you lose to the Steelers and you lose to the Carolina Panthers, and basically you look at that schedule and you have a rookie quarterback, you have a third string quarterback, you have a coaching change with the Carolina Panthers. You know, the Steelers just got blown out by the Buffalo Bills. You should win those games. You have the talent. You have the greatest of all time in Tom Brady. Your defense is supposed to be gravediggers, right? You're supposed to be shutting teams down. And at some point this year, they were one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And the last couple of weeks, they look like a shell of themselves. So I've been asking fans all night long, in your opinion, from an outsider's perspective, do you feel like this team can turn it around, or do you think it gets worse before it gets better?
If I'm being honest, I think it gets worse before it gets better, because this is a like Todd Bowles, and I'm a Jets fan, so I'm very familiar with Todd Bowles, and I think it's awesome he got another opportunity. But a lot of those same problems that you're seeing, that you saw with Todd Bowles in 2016 with the Jets, you're seeing a lot of those same issues in terms of, you know, what this team looks like. And I think that this Brady thing, and I know a lot of people want to say, you know, it's his head, you know, it's all in his head, the divorce, all this stuff. I don't care what it is. If you are not in the mindset to be the quarterback of a team, you shouldn't be out there. If he cannot give this team 100%, and does that include practicing on Wednesdays? It really might include practicing on Wednesdays, because there should be no special treatment. Because guess what? If I'm a second stringer on the Bucs right now, if I'm a backup and I am watching my quarterback of my team not practice and not put in that work, I don't care what he's done in the past. I don't care that he's the greatest of all time. Currently, he is not putting in the work to be to win games. right? What did he come back for if he's not going to contribute to this team as much as every single player on that 53-man roster and on that practice squad and in the coaching staff and in the front office are going to?
It's a good point. And we're on with Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. How's college life? You're in Syracuse. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I mean, how old are you again? What are you, 18?
I'm 18.
Years old? 18 years old. Go ahead and introduce if they don't know you here, Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, so if you don't know me, I'm Jacob Charnow, and you can follow me on Twitter right there at Jacob Charnow. But yeah, I'm the host of the Hard Count Football Podcast, and it used to be the Hard Count Football Podcast Live, but obviously I made a change. I'm now in college. I'm at Syracuse University in the at the Newhouse School of Communications. It's awesome, man. It's a lot of fun. Everything you hear about the school is, I mean, it's all true. Everything about it is true. It's amazing, but hopefully we can get some more content up and running soon on my YouTube channel. But for most of my content now, you can find it on my Twitter.
Worry about those priorities. The priority is college. Enjoy college life. It's all there for you, my friend. You've been doing this for a long time. Just continue to do what you do. I'm very proud to have you on here and be your friend. And I know that you started on here with me, so it's very cool to see this evolution, if you will. With that being said, how happy are you about your New York Jets? I mean, I can see you right now. You're beaming. You're probably jumping off the ceiling at this point. You're probably, talk about this New York Jets team and how impressive they've been lately.
God, what can I even say? I've been waiting. All you Bucs fans, I promise you know what I'm talking about. I have been waiting for my whole life for this team to be competitive again. Like just competitive. Because the last playoff team, the last good Jets team, really good Jets team I saw, if you want to say 2015, but really 2010, 2011, right? That's the last time the Jets have been competitive. And now they start the season off 5-2, right? They have a ton of young talent. Sauce Gardner already looks like a top 5 cornerback in this league. He is going to be an absolute stud. It sucks with Breece Hall. Obviously that's incredibly unfortunate. And Elijah Vera Tucker, two guys that were really on their way to all-pro seasons, and Breece Hall was on his way to an Offensive Rookie of the Year award. But man, this Joe Douglas has done a great job with putting together a roster that can be competitive even when times get tough, because these guys want to play for the Jets. These guys want to play, and I'll get into Elijah Moore if you want me to in a little bit. But these guys want to play. These guys want to play for the team. Not a lot of teams can get down to their 5th offensive tackle and still be competitive and not a lot of general managers, after they lose their offensive stud at running back, will go out and get another running back. And people want to trash Zach Wilson. And here's what I'll say about Zach. He looked bad in that Broncos game. Mm-hmm. He did. And I'll be the first to say it, but he's also a game manager. So you can afford the way this offense runs, and you see it with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco.
Sure.
He can afford to make 1 or 2 or 3 mistakes a game, and this team can still win football games because this defense is so good and so deep and so well run that this team can compete no matter what. I think this is a new, and everyone's seeing it, a new New York Jets organization. And I can't explain enough how much I love what they're doing over there in East Rutherford.
I know Breece Hall, you lose him. I mean, how much of a loss is that to that team, in your opinion? And then you pick up James Robinson for basically a 5th-round pick from the Jacksonville Jaguars. How impressed were you by your team making that trade?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I think the loss of Breece Hall, I mean, I said it, he was an absolute stud. Everything, he didn't look like a rookie. He didn't. And he immediately came in. He looked like a pro. There was that play in the Packers game where he took that ball like 60 yards to the house. That was not a designed play for him. He was supposed to pitch it back to Garrett Wilson. He read the defense, realized that he had the hole, and he scored. Like, that is not a rookie move. You don't see rookies doing that. But he goes down. It's football. I understand. And Joe Douglas goes out, gets James Robinson, who I think is the perfect player for this backfield. He's talented. He was being underutilized in Jacksonville. We know he's good. And I think the Jets do believe in Michael Carter. But this is that West Coast Shanahan style offense that we see in San Francisco, where they need to utilize multiple running backs. So they bring in James Robinson, who is the perfect complement, who can find holes and is even pretty good in the passing game, but that's why they have Michael Carter. And don't forget, they're bringing up a name that nobody hears about right now, but they will hear about. Zonovan Knight, the undrafted free agent that is now on the Jets active roster, he got called up. I think between them three, this is going to be not James Robinson won't be Breece Hall, but he'll be more than effective in this offense, and I'm pretty confident in that.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the comments here and read them because there's pretty good comments here. And, of course, you can always get on the phone lines if you have a question for Mr. Jacob. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Let's go out to Yaj. We will be okay. Russ says Brady's head is in the clouds due to divorce. Russ says Brady needs to declare this being his last year and work marriage out simply. Yaj says, trust the attitude. If different, Brady is putting in the work day in and day out. You guys don't see it. Trust. That's what Yaj says. So Yaj has some insight on that. Jacob is impressive. That's why he's on the Sports Web. We only have the most impressive guest here. That's why we got impressive web heads like yourself there, Russ. Roger, Jacob knows more about football than me, and I'm 52. I'll tell you what, we'll go
Acknowledge me.
out to Russ here. Peter Blake is the bomb. Thank you, Russ. Appreciate you. Let me give you the Ric Flair.
Woo!
Jets need a quarterback that can throw 300 to 400 yards. Flacco can. I mean,
Please.
talk about that. Flacco, Wilson. Does it get to that point where eventually you can only go so far with Zach Wilson because what you said, he's a DLG quarterback? But like we talked about in the postseason, you can win with a DLG quarterback. Don't turn over the ball, run the ball, and play stifling defense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach has this sneaky athleticism to him that people underrate. And the Flacco thing, if Zach's not the guy, and if they think they can go bigger and better, they're not. It's not Flacco. Flacco played. You guys watched him the first 3 weeks of this season. He was bad. I don't care how many yards he was throwing for. I don't care about any of this. It means nothing, right? Tom Brady right now is throwing for 300 yards a game, 290, like in that area. It doesn't mean he's playing well, right? This team was down. They threw the ball 53 times and they lost. And then Zach comes back and they start throwing the ball 18, 20, 25 times. And now they're winning. Zach is 4-0. There's a reason for that, right?
Is that coaching also? I mean, Robert
Sure.
Saleh, do you feel like the players have bought into Saleh?
Yeah, I think that they believe in him, and I think he's a cool dude and people want to play for him. That's really what it comes down to. And you could say the same thing about what's going on the other side of MetLife with the New York Giants. People want to play for Coach Dable. People do. Like Mike Kafka, this is a well-run organization now. Both teams are, with good offensive coordinators, good head coaches. These are cool guys, right? I mean, you just saw Brian Dable, signing autographs while smoking a cigar. Robert Saleh's out here giving out Army phrases. He had one that was so cool where he was like, oh, what did he say? He said it was after the Packers game. He shared what he said to the team at halftime. And he said, we're gonna take him out to deep water. Oh God, I don't want to misquote him, but I'll find it. I'll find it in a sec. But these are cool coaches. They are New York personalities. So yes, I think they have absolutely bought into Coach Saleh.
How surprised are you by the New York Giants, and what are they doing to get it done? Because Daniel Jones is not throwing for 300-400 yards, but he's also not turning over the ball. I mean, is that the key at the end of the day? Probably the biggest key to have Saquon Barkley back in the fold?
Yes. My opinion on the Giants is that they've been a little lucky. I don't know. I hate to say that they're lucky. I hate it.
Right.
I hate it because I think that Daniel Jones has been way overhated. He is playing really well, and he's doing exactly what I expected him to do this year. Exactly what I expected him to do. Because guess what? Brian Dable, who was just in Buffalo, is now coming into New York with another big framed, big body quarterback with a big arm that can run well. He's working him like Josh Allen. He's Daniel Jones is Josh Allen with less talent. That's what he is. That's what he is right now. And he's winning games. And Saquon Barkley looks like he never even got hurt. He looks better than before his injury, which is ridiculous to say. Now imagine if you can make a move for a receiver at the deadline here, because God knows what Gettleman did with Kenny Golladay and this Kadarius Toney thing. He's the most injured player I've ever seen that isn't named Kevin White. And Kevin White just scored a touchdown. So
Or
better
Julio
than Kadarius. Yeah, exactly. So I think the Giants are a few moves away, and they have a really easy schedule coming up. They could be 10-1 by the time I think their bye comes up. So that would be, I mean, it's New York football, Peter. There's what it is. And I have the solid quote for you. He said, he shared his halftime speech with the media. Just keep giving the Packers body blow after body blow. Keep hitting them in the mouth. We felt like if we kept taking them down to deeper water, they'll find out they can't swim. Which is, how cool is that? How cool is that?
That is very, very cool. We're on with Jacob Char now of the Hard Count Football Podcast here on the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about in that NFC East. A big move made today. We just talked about it with former defensive tackle James Cannida of the Bucs. Robert Quinn headed to the Philadelphia Eagles. The impact, and are you buying the Philadelphia Eagles, and do you feel like this team will eventually be the division winner over the Dallas Cowboys, who are improved this year, and of course the aforementioned Giants?
Yeah, I mean that Quinn trade, man. I tweeted it. The only thing I said was, "Oh damn," because this Eagles team now, I mean, Howie Roseman, he wants to win now. He is all in on this year. I mean, obviously, how could you not be? But having now think about this: getting AJ Brown, getting CJ Gardner-Johnson, trading for these guys, having Robert Quinn now, and you add a few more, and now you still are probably going to have a top 10 pick next year.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. This team is well run. And I had them, I have to pat myself on the back a little bit. I had them going 12-5 by the end of this season. I think it might be even better now. And who thought that after 2 years ago, when it was the NFC least, now it's the NFC most. This is the division in the NFC right now. The consensus best teams.
Are you buying Jalen Hurts? Have you bought him? I mean, because to me, the reason why you get an A.J. Brown is because of what you want to have happen with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, right? You want to have that progression. Do you see that progression in a Hurts this year, much in the same of Josh Allen?
I think to compare him to Josh Allen might be a little bit, because that's an unprecedented step, and I think that's more of an outlier. As like when we're talking about the GOAT, and we're talking about best quarterbacks, and these undrafted late round quarterbacks, Brady's an outlier. You can't count him. This is what I'm saying. You can't count Josh Allen. The steps he took is unprecedented. It doesn't happen. So what Jalen Hurts, that connection with AJ Brown, has he taken a step up? Absolutely. Do I buy Jalen Hurts? Absolutely. Because now you see what happens when you put some talent around him. Now you give him a defense, put him in some positions to win. Now he has the ability to use his legs. Jalen Hurts is what the Bears want Justin Fields to be, but they have no idea what they're doing because they are an incompetent organization right now. The Eagles are doing everything right. And there's a reason that they didn't pay Jalen Hurts last year, because they're going to give Jalen Hurts is playing for a contract. I promise you, if he was not playing at an elite level like he is right now, he would be an afterthought in this organization. They put all the pieces around to evaluate him, and he stepped up and he showed them why they should pay him.
Well, speaking of somebody who has not stepped up and should get paid, Matt Ryan was benched. I mean, what's your take on this? It seems like the Colts are like becoming the Cleveland Browns, where basically quarterbacks go to die at this point. How much of a disaster is this, in your opinion, for Ryan to be benched this week and be signed be traded in the first place?
The good news is that Matt Ryan is a respectable person. So you saw his press conference today where he was very relaxed, and I'm sure he's pissed, because who wouldn't be pissed off? But that's what it is. Now Matt Ryan, three things in life are certain, death, taxes, and Matt Ryan being dead cap money next year. This is a disaster for the Colts. You said it perfectly. Ever since Andrew Luck, this team has yet to find a quarterback. Now, it's hard to just blow it up, right? Like Andrew Luck did. He literally blew up an entire organization. And that's why we kept bailing out Chris Ballard, because he kept bringing, he brought in DeForest Buckner, and he brought in all this talent. Why? At what point do we start questioning Chris Ballard? At what point do we start talking about, maybe this guy hasn't been able to bring in a quarterback that can win games and get us to the playoffs and,
Right.
Since Andrew Luck. Frank Reich is losing games. You have arguably the best running back in football in your backfield, and you're underutilizing him? Are you kidding me? So now you bring in this Sam Ellinger guy, or Ellinger, whatever, however you say his name. This kid from Texas. We don't know how he's going to look.
Right.
But I guess you want to maybe take a chance. Are you tanking? Because I don't know how many people know this, but Nick Foles is also on that Indianapolis bench.
Right.
Put him in. Put him in.
Right. Why not? So it can't get any worse than what it already is. I mean,
exactly.
What's a worse situation? What's going on with the Indianapolis Colts, or what has transpired with the Denver Broncos?
That's a worse situation.
Because we talked about it in the offseason, Jacob, and we thought that division was going to be tough. But honestly, it's Kansas City and, once again, everybody else. Yeah,
you're right, man. I have to take the L on this one. I was so wrong, but so is everyone about this AFC West division.
Right.
I had the Chargers winning. I had the Chargers winning the division, followed by the Broncos, followed by the Chiefs, followed by the Raiders.
Right,
man. I was wrong. I got to admit it. I was wrong. God, this Broncos thing is tough because Broncos fans, if there's any of you watching right now, don't worry. Because Russell Wilson has until 2027 to figure it out. Don't worry, guys.
Well, what is it? Is it Russell Wilson? Is it the play calling? Is it the coaching? We know they have the talent. I mean, what is it? Is Russ? We talked about Pete Carroll and his impact. You see Geno Smith, the quarterback you're very familiar with, and basically, his turnaround now. It's like a second birth or second wind, if you will, the way he's playing. But, I mean, really, did Pete Carroll have that much of an impact, in your opinion, on a Russell Wilson? Because everybody said Russell Wilson will be fine. He'll do what Tom Brady does. And it just doesn't always work like that. You can't put a veteran quarterback in a system with a new coaching staff, by the way, and think everything is going to be fine. There's going to be some bumps in the road. And there's been some speed bumps.
Bumps is an understatement, Peter. There's been spikes under those wheels. It's a disaster. God, who to blame in Denver? Who do we even start with? Because Nathaniel Hackett's not making it past this year. It's like we're watching a high school football team. It really is. They cannot get anything going on offense. This defense is fantastic, right? What's been lost in this Denver situation is the incredible defense that they've been playing. But you look at this offense, man, I don't know, because like the schemes and all that, it's bad. But at the same time, you watch Russ play and he's missing guys that are wide open. He's missing easy throws. And then he's going on social media and he's Mr. Unlimited and he's making Subway sandwiches. The Danger Us. Oh, you ever done anything dangerous? Shut up, man. Play some football. Like I loved Russell Wilson, man. I love him, but come on. Like this cannot be. He is the cringiest man in football. And until all the stuff on the field gets figured out, he should not be. I mean, I understand he's a famous person, but like cut it down on social media before you start. Today's him stretching for 4 hours on the plane to London. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? Just stop. Just relax. It's okay. You don't need to be Mr. Unlimited every week. Just take it down here, win a few football games, get competitive in the division because it's wide open. And Peter, I'm actually going to flip this on you because I want to talk about this. Okay? Forgetting Denver, and we're looking at the AFC West, and I want to look in Los Angeles for a sec.
Sure.
Because I said something to my friends the other day, and they were like, how could you say that? All this.
Right.
Have we anointed Justin Herbert just a little bit too early?
Yes. But it doesn't help because Keenan Allen has been hurt all year long. In fact, the guy can get out of bed and trip, and he'll be hurt. He's more hurt than a guy like Brian Robinson, right? Maybe it's unfair, but he got shot and he came back.
Brian Robinson got shot, Peter.
This guy hasn't come back and played, not yet, because of his hamstring. So maybe that's unfair, but not having Mike Williams consistently, have him. Now he's hurt. Keenan Allen. That's the one thing. Yes, I think we have anointed him. We've seen, what he can do and all the throws he can make and how young he is and exciting he is. But yeah, the guy that's still the go-to in that division is Patrick Mahomes. And it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
To Tyreek Hill. I learned my lesson. I picked the Chiefs last in that division. I need to learn my lesson. Patrick Mahomes is the real deal. Yeah. Andy Reid is the real deal, and it really doesn't matter who you're throwing the ball to. By the way, the number one wide receiver on that team is not Tyreek Hill. It's Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll say this about the Chargers. We've seen quarterbacks do a lot more with a lot less. And I don't think the Chargers have been terrible, but I think that they've, with the amount of talent that they have and the amount of money that they spent in the offseason, and I understand, and you look at, forget this offense, look at this defense. Like, Brandon Staley is a defensive coach. Mm-hmm. He is. And this defense has been bad. They have. Before J.C. Jackson's injury, which sucks, you never want to see anybody get injured like that. You never want to see that at all. But J.C. Jackson wasn't playing well before he got hurt. He wasn't. He was giving up yards. He was committing penalties. It just wasn't happening. And I don't know whether it's the Chargers training staff that this team is constantly on the IR, but this Chargers team was massively overhyped. They are not playing anywhere near their peak ability. And once again, it's Andy Reid and Mahomes, no matter who else is on that receiving core. Tyreek Hill was the little ribbon on the car. When you buy the car, you take off the ribbon. Guess what? The car still drives. The car's driving just as well as it was before, if not better. So it's like Travis Kelce is the engine. He is what keeps this thing running, because without Kelce, having that dynamic tight end, it changes your offense. It is the most. I think it is one of, if not the most important part of
Gronkowski. Just saying.
Look at Gronk. Look at Kelce. Look at what Mark Andrews has done for Lamar.
Yep.
Yeah, look, Lamar Jackson is nowhere near accurate. He's not an accurate quarterback. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's a good quarterback. He is not accurate by any sense. There's a reason Mark Andrews is constantly doing backflips and catching balls behind his head. It's because they're not accurate balls, right? They're not good throws. But he's making up for it. So he's moving the chains. Right? You look at what Darren Waller can do for an offense when he's healthy. It's even in a more minute, even on a more minute scale, look at what Hayden Hurst has been doing for this Bengals offense, right? Such a small example. Look at what TJ Hawkinson can do for this Lions offense. It changes an offense. It does. But Travis Kelce, absolute stud.
All right. Speaking of absolute stud, there it is right there. Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast. Man, go ahead and promote yourself once again on the evolution of sports talk television.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You could check me out on YouTube, the Hard Count Football Podcast on YouTube. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charnow right here. Follow me on Instagram at Hard Count Football. And now, follow me on TikTok at Jacob Charnow. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. I'm having a ton of fun on TikTok and Twitter right now. So just go give it a follow.
Have fun, young man. Really proud of you. I'm telling you right now, I mean, if I were 18 years old again, I'd be doing exactly what you're doing. Go kill it at Syracuse, and definitely don't be a stranger on the evolution. All right.
Appreciate it, man. I'll be back real soon.
All right. Love that kid right there. Jacob Charnow of the Hard Count Football Podcast, right? We go from former football players to college students to now one of my co-hosts, Mr. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Let me go out to the bodyguard of the Berg, who has waited so patiently. We're going to kind of change this up a little bit tonight, fellas. We're still waiting for Mark Mancini, but Tampa Bay Ray will start off. Go out. I don't know what that is, but we'll go out to the bodyguard in just a moment. Stand by here. Let me go out to the phone lines. Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Welcome to the evolution. You're on with Tampa Bay Ray along with Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Bird. What do you have to say, my friend?
Holy moly, we got a whole cast of characters going on right now. Huh, Mr. Blake?
I'm telling you, we do. It's been a busy night here. We had former football players talking about distractions. I think that was the cool thing. Ray, I don't know what's going on. I think that need to. Okay. Well, that's Ralph. Can you go ahead and turn your sound down just a little bit? Turn it down just a little bit. Let me go ahead and unmute him right there. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Do we
I
got
know
it?
that. I
All
know
right.
what that is right there, Pete. That's bad programming right there.
Well, we're producing on the run, my friend. That's what we're doing here. I got to ask you, thanks a lot for calling the Evolution, as you always bust my balls here on the show. Robert Quinn being traded. Good trade, 4th-round pick to the Eagles. Your thoughts?
I thought they should have traded him in the offseason. I think they could have got more, but I think that would have hurt morale a little bit more than it is right now. I mean, obviously, Roquan Smith is all busted up because of his move. But, the proof is sort of in the pudding a little bit, Pete, and the rebuilding situation. Everybody knows what's going on. We're watching it. Anybody who pays a dime one attention to this league or to this team knows what's going on. And, yes, did they pull off a fantastic victory for this franchise the other night? Yes, absolutely. But, that doesn't change the fact that this team's building for the future and acquiring draft picks and mucho dinero for next year and under the salary cap, man. They are stacking and packing, and it's all gonna be about what they do with that money in the off season. And it's going to be interesting to see if they franchise Roquan Smith in the off season or if they just try to trade him in a couple days, because that could happen too. Roquan's a great player, but when you're sitting there demanding $20 million a year and you don't even have an agent, and some other guy is actually calling teams and, trying to see what can be done, and he's not a legitimate agent or a representative and for that the NFL looks at, so, Roquan could be his own worst enemy in either staying or leaving Chicago.
Well, I think he stays, and he got emotional today when the trade was announced. I tell you what, Travis, say hi to Tampa Bay Ray. Tampa Bay Ray, welcome to the Evolution. Say hi to Travis Faley.
What's up, Travis? How are you tonight, brother?
I'm doing well, and I think I saw an inspiration to all of us that are on this call right now, or live in any computer, however you want to put it, because I saw Al Michaels this evening at the world famous Burns Steakhouse.
Beautiful.
Not that I was balling, but it was my anniversary tonight. So sort of anniversary.
Well, happy
tonight,
anniversary.
So.
You're calling your anniversary. That's completely awesome, as always. Thanks a lot, Travis. And, of course, you got Ralph Williams on with us from Pittsburgh, giving us a little national perspective. We'll have a little wrestling talk here in just a little bit. I got to ask you, gentlemen, because we're on the phone all together at this point. I mean, how much do you think Tom Brady off the field has been a distraction to this team, and do you think it's the direct cause of why this team has struggled?
No, absolutely not. It's injuries have struggled with this club. You guys know it. As soon as this team lost Ryan Jensen, that was a huge hit. That was Brady's, one of his main protectors. You lose your offensive line. Why do you think Justin Fields has struggled all this year? Because the offensive line sucks. Everybody knows it. They did nothing basically in the offseason to protect the kid or to bring in a top flight receiver. So, anything positive we see out of Justin Fields this year is going to be big for the progress going forward. But getting back to Brady, when you start losing guys, Julio Jones could have been a key cog, but he's been out most of the season. And, Pete, Godwin, I still don't think Godwin's 100%. And, things happen when you start losing your key players, your number ones, your number twos, up and down. It all starts in the trenches. That we've been saying that for years, and Tampa Bay Ray knows that first and foremost, especially with the struggles of this team early for all the years of being a fan. You guys all know it. Starts and stops, and in the lines. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
Tampa Bay Ray, you want to comment on this?
No, I mean, Travis is completely correct, and I don't think it's so much as that Tom Brady's off-the-field distractions have been a distraction for this team. I think that Tom Brady's absence and some of the things that have occurred, and then, of course, the stuff that he is going through, it may be, I don't want to say a crutch, but it may be so for when you get a Devin White after they let the Falcons, were up 21-0 in that game, and the Falcons climb back into that game, and they come up roughing the passer call away from a possible last drive to tie the game, and Devin White, after the game, when asked about the team letting the Falcons back into it, he says, "We got bored." And I'm like, that's the part, that's the disconnect for me. That's the things. And of course, as Travis says, also those injuries in the offensive line, so important. The Kansas City Chiefs, we burned them bad in 55, and they had both their tackles were out that game. They rebuilt that offensive line last year, and this year, Andy Reid, still the wizard, and they're just blowing it up again. So just goes to show you again, those horses up front, how important to have that stability so Tom can make those second, third, and fourth reads and have the time in the pocket to throw that ball.
Let me go out to Ralph Williams here really quick. Oh, I don't know what happened to Tampa Bay Ray, but let me go out to Ralph here. Your thoughts on the Tom Brady situation. You've watched this game from afar. You're in Pittsburgh. You're a Steeler fan. You saw him firsthand. I mean, your thoughts on Tom Brady and the distractions to this team.
Well, I think Tom Brady's gotten greedy over the years. You know, he wants to win 10 Super Bowls. He wants to cover both hands with rings. And now it turns out that, he's got some drama at home. He's worried more about himself than his family. And I don't know how much more you need. I mean, I know he's got 7 Super Bowls or 6 or whatever it is. But, how much more do you want? How much more do you need that you're 45 years old and still playing football? If I'm 45 years old and I got the money he has, I'm not playing football. And I understand maybe his goal is for 10 Super Bowls, but I don't see it.
You're also not – I'm going to come after you on that. You're also not an athlete. You're not a guy who's been playing ball since probably he was 5 years old and has been told that he can't do something for all his life. Next thing you know, he's arguably the greatest player, the greatest quarterback, hands down, that ever lived. And you're saying this guy should basically stop playing football at 45 years old?
Yeah, I mean,
what I'm saying is,
I think that's ridiculous.
What I'm saying is he should stop now while he can. I mean, I wouldn't beat my body up at 45 years old like that. I'd be gone. I mean, I'd take what I have and go. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. What more does he need? He just lost his family. He just lost his marriage.
That's about you, though. We're looking at one of the supreme athletes of all time and what's going on and the drive and the focus of what he's done and what he's accomplished. You're calling him out because he wants to continue. And once that's gone, that's gone.
Yep. I mean,
and he's let's get back. We'll get back. I want to ask the guy from Pittsburgh a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do you think Byron Leftwich just lost his mind against the Pittsburgh Steelers, full knowing that Minka Fitzpatrick and your other guy in the secondary was out and they never attacked him downfield? I think that was more on Leftwich and Brady, that combination there. I didn't understand what the hell that game plan was.
I mean, you watched it. I mean, you have Minka Fitzpatrick out of the game. You're missing a couple other players in the secondary. I mean, did it really make lots of sense not to throw the ball? You're trying to run the ball. I didn't understand it. I mean, what do you say about it, Ralph?
Well, I think, you're right on that. That was some poor game planning there. We had what was like a third or fourth string cornerback in there. Somebody was bagging groceries 2 weeks ago, and now he was out there playing for the Steelers. And, I don't know what happened there. Byron Leftwich wants to be a head coach. I don't know. I mean, he better come up with some better game plans, out there as offensive coordinator there. And, Brady's the same way. I mean, if the two of them, maybe the communication's poor between them, something happened that game. And, I was surprised, too. I took Tampa to win that game. I didn't think the Steelers were – I thought that Brady was going to eat their lunch, and I'm a Steeler fan. And I thought Brady was going to eat their lunch, and it didn't work out that way.
It didn't work out that way. And to your point, I think the reason why Brady didn't retire is because you're still playing at a high level. You still have over 40 touchdowns. You feel like this team has an opportunity because they're only, a couple plays away from playing in the NFC Championship game. You're in a division that's certainly winnable. So maybe he does want to win some Super Bowls. And I understand where you're coming from at the end of the day, Ralph, but this is a competitive athlete. This is like Michael Jordan. He doesn't want to go away. He doesn't want to retire at the top of his game. He's still at the top of his game, I believe. I think it's more of the offensive line than Tom Brady. Go ahead, Travis.
What I was getting to was I had a strong feeling that when Pickett went out in that game, that Mitch Trubisky was going to do what he did in that game. The guy can play ball. Mm-hmm. He's a 50-50 quarterback. He's either going to play well or he's going to play like garbage. And trust me, he went 12-4 with that Bears team. He knows how to win games. And they're one double doink away from moving. We all know that story. We're not going to relive that, but you get it. And, a couple things real quick, guys. it seems like Brady is going long on third. It doesn't seem like it is. Third and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4.
Right.
For some reason,
Right.
why are they airing the ball out down the field? I have no idea. Why aren't you just being New England football down the field,
Well,
up
to
and down the
me,
field?
to me, that's
Gronk's being out.
coaching. That's coaching, and that's also missing of a Gronk. And then in that same breath, you have 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and you're throwing the ball short and expecting guys like Leonard Fournette to get that yak yardage, and you're getting hit right on the spot. So this offense does not make sense right now. They definitely should have had more points than 3 versus the Carolina Panthers, who are a quality defense. I don't think they are a great defense. I mean, that's been the whole thing that's been disappointing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is you're playing, down to your competition at the end of the day, and it's not called for with all that talent. It's ridiculous.
No, absolutely. But we got a couple big events tomorrow, as you guys know. Not only the
Yes.
Baltimore Ravens in town, saw a couple of those guys floating around down by the restaurant, but also, Pete, we got Iron Maiden playing the final stop of the United States tour.
Bruce Dickinson and Iron Maiden.
Love it, huh?
Erie.
Ralph is a big fan of that. Okay, all right.
Oh yeah.
What song are you looking, or what set are you looking to hear? From
Well,
that concert?
I'll be in the photo pit. I'll be in the photo pit tomorrow for the 4th time for Iron Maiden. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be 20,000 people in that building, and they travel well. If you've ever read my stuff as far as Iron Maiden's concerned, it's an event, and people will be there from Brazil, from all over the world tomorrow night in Tampa, Florida, up on the rail. It's an amazing event.
Beautiful.
You guys get a chance to see Maiden one of these days. It is an event, and I'll say it again. If they weren't there tomorrow, Pete, I'd be in Raymond James Stadium watching Lamar Jackson. And this Bucs team could struggle again tomorrow, guys, especially with the injuries in the secondary.
I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, do you think this team can turn it around? That's been the question for the night. Do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can eventually turn it around? And does it start tomorrow night versus the Ravens, in your opinion?
Well, it's an embarrassment return. You know what I mean by that? Most teams like Belichick in New England, I don't think they're going to be embarrassed again. And the Bucs were embarrassed on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's one of those turnaround mentality type games where it looks so obvious on paper, other than the game being played in Ray J, that Baltimore's going to have the upper hand. But you know how the National Football League goes when the obvious isn't always the obvious. We've seen it all year long. The parity in this league is crazy.
Yeah, it is. I got, I think Harry the Greek, call back, Harry. He wants the 3-way. He wants to get on with you and talk to you just a little bit. We're on with Travis Fraley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Of course, Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg, talking about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want to read these comments really quick, and then we will get back to it. But let's see here. Giants and Bills or Jets Super Bowl. Russ says, bring Ryan in next year or this year, Matt Ryan. All right, let's go out to Harry here. Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. We'll merge the two calls together. We got my Chicago connection, Mr. Harry the Greek and Travis Fraley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Go, guys.
Gentlemen.
Harry.
Been an hour. You ready?
Yes.
Repeat after me.
Yes.
NFL stands for what?
No friggin' logic, or not for long. That's what I've always said.
Or no fun league.
Oh,
No fun league. There you go.
no
Jerry Glanville said that.
logic. That's all it is. Again, I didn't get a chance to preach on it again. Travis, thanks so much for being on there tonight. But you know what? This is an offensive line issue. Anybody can speculate what they want. This is merely an offensive line issue. And you better start playing more dumb type of football. Dummy it down, baby. Don't be passing the ball 55 times a game. You got to go back to running the pill. Because you know what happens when you do that? You set it up for the play action pass. Because the last 3 games,
Exactly.
there were only 2 bites on the play action because nobody's respecting it.
It's a fair point.
Again,
it's absolutely a fair point.
NFL stands for what?
No friggin' logic. Travis, your thoughts on what Harry is talking about with running the pill and kind of trying to dumb down football? I think we've kind of seen that with this offense at this point. But Travis, what do you say about what Harry's saying with the Bucs offense? Travis, are you there?
Travis hung up. Damn it.
Travis is not there, I guess. All right, Harry. Thanks a lot for the call. As always, my friend. Handicapper extraordinaire. I guess.
Harry the Great.
Yes.
Listen, man, listen. I don't mean to call it dumbing down the football. They
Yeah.
just need to play more smash mouth football. Alex, I know you're out there, you're listening, and I don't like to get into those type of debates with you, but you can't sit here and say they're running the ball too much. I'm sorry, gentlemen, they're not. Look at the stats. Tom
Right.
Brady's passed for 2,000 yards. It's umpteen numbers of passes. It's almost a 2-to-1 ratio from passing to running. When you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to get your defense off the field. They're going to get tired.
Hold on a sec, Harry. Let me go ahead and try to add this. Let me add Travis to the call here. Stand by. Just trying to get these guys on here. We're producing online here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television as I'm working my magic. As always, hopefully this works. And he answers the phone. And he's not answering the phone. So we're
They're
just
going to end up winning it. That's
Okay.
it. And by the way, the Bucs win this weekend. They're underdogs.
Okay.
Go ahead and play them.
All right, there you go. Play them. Thanks a lot, Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. We'll have to get you and Travis on. Travis, call back. Let me go out to you, Ralph. Thanks a lot for being so patient as we're waiting for Mark Mancini at this juncture. But what do you think? Can they do it? Can they turn it around? Can the Bucs turn this around with Tom Brady? I know you're not the biggest fan of Tom Brady, but do you feel like this team has enough in them to turn it around? And it starts tomorrow night versus the Ravens. What do you say?
Well, I would like them to, and I'd like them to use the Ravens to turn it around because the Ravens are in the AFC North, and they're not one of my favorite teams. But I would like to see the Bucs turn it around, like Harry and Travis and everyone else has said. It's their offensive line, and when you don't control the line of scrimmage on either side, you have to control the line of scrimmage, Peter, on both sides. Both defense and offense, okay?
Mhm.
And, the play action comes with the running game, like Harry explained as well. And I've said this many times. The Steelers had that problem last year. Our offensive line is getting a little bit better. It's baby steps right now, but at least they're getting better. They're improving every week. So, I mean, they give up the sack here and there and a stupid penalty here and there. But, it's not as bad as Tampa Bay. And I'm real surprised at what the brain setting down there at Tampa Bay, that they didn't do something to rectify these problems. And I don't know if maybe they don't have enough money in their salary cap, but they should have done something to rectify this for Brady and get him an offensive line, that's workable. And I know they have some injuries, but you have to do some shuffling around. Maybe take a look at some cap hits or whatever. Look around the league, see if you can find some guys, because if not, Brady's season could be short this year, or perhaps it's going to be a rough one, a rough sledding. I mean, you can't gain any yards because you don't have a line blocking for you.
Absolutely, and you're starting a rookie, so you're absolutely correct. And
Yes.
still, the trading deadline is out there. It starts on Tuesday. We'll see if the Bucs make a move. All right, let's go back out to the comments. Russ says Foles is in stud. Russell Wilson had wide open receivers. No excuse, Russ again. Russ, do the Dak twist. The hips warm up. Russ again. Love Brian Robinson. Tough dude. Roger Shue says, quit calling Jacob a kid. He's a man in college. He's 18 years old. He's a kid to me.
Shut
For God's sakes, I'm 44, so shut the hell up. Mark Mancini, he's a Mark. You're a Mark.
Shut up!
Roger Sue says, laugh out loud. Devin White needs to get better. Attitude be replaced. Terry says, preach Ray. O-line is the biggest issue. Then it's coaching. Roger again. JD from New York is live. Okay, Russ, Brady can be quarterback and offensive coordinator by Byron. Harry again. NFL, no freaking logic. Russ, Bucs, 9 wins. Travis, you dropped me. I didn't. Call back if you want to. It's my phone. Sorry about that, because I love the Chicago connection there with you and Harry, both of you guys from Chicago. Chris Cole says Bucs fans complain that they don't run it enough, and now they're complaining that they are running it too much. Who knows at this juncture?
Really?
All right. First and foremost, I know you're in Pennsylvania. Are you excited about the Phillies being in the World Series versus the Astros? And if you're not, who do you think is going to win that series and why?
Well, the Phillies have been the Cinderella story this year, Peter. They fired Joe Girardi at the beginning of the season, and I didn't think the Phillies were going to do anything. And then here, all of a sudden, they're in the World Series. Dusty Baker, with the Astros, it's about time he gets in there. He's been in the league forever, and I'm not probably the Phillies. I'm going to take, not only because of state. I'm not really a fan of the Astros after that cheating scandal that they had a few years back. I'm not a real fan of them. And as usual, we have a weak baseball commissioner who really should have done a whole lot more than what he did, which was I think almost nothing. So I mean, and now the Astros former managers with the Twins now, and he should have been banned from baseball. Things like that, you got to really take a stand with it. But we all know it's about money, and the commissioner's not going to do anything about it. So, but I'm taking the Phillies. I'd like to see them win and become the Cinderella story, because for years and years now, Peter, they've had stacked lineups. They've had great players, and they just never was able to make it. They've been through a lot of managers. It would be nice to see them win a World Series. I would like to see it.
I like to see him win a World Series over the Astros. I don't know who I hate more. I probably hate the Astros more because they cheated. And
Yep.
of course, like you said, the commissioner never did anything about it. He hasn't done anything about the home run record, single season or all time. That's been disappointing to me, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's a good matchup. Who do you like in this series? Do you like the Phillies or the Astros to win it, and why?
I think the Phillies will win it. It's going to be a 7-game series. Both teams are pretty evenly matched, I think. It all depends on what the pitching does. If the starting pitching does well for either team or both teams, it's going to be competitive. Sometimes it's about pitching, and if your starting pitching can't handle it, your bullpen got to pick up the slack. And if the bullpen isn't there, then it's going to be a quick World Series for somebody to win.
All right, we're waiting for Mark Mancini. He's not on yet, so we'll just switch gears and go to wrestling right now. AEW in an uproar. Of course, we talked about WWE and the change with Triple H, but all eyes right now are on AEW. It looks like CM Punk once again will be bought out. First and foremost, do you think that's a big loss for AEW? And do you think that CM Punk would entertain the opportunity to go back, work with Triple H and WWE, and is that a home run for World Wrestling Entertainment?
Well, here's the story. Here's the thing, Peter. CM Punk has an attitude problem, obviously, and he created a toxic locker room. And when he started that brawl and then making comments about people, and you might not like somebody, Peter, but sometimes you got to watch what you say. You got to watch what you're doing. And when you're in a business like that, and he hasn't been in wrestling for 7 years, and then he's going to come back and make comments and say things like that. I mean, come on, and then he got angry with Tony Khan because Tony Khan made him fight again for his title. He felt that that interim title should have just been handed back to him, and he didn't have to fight for it. He was angry with Khan about that. And then, on top of that, I'm angry with Tony Khan because he left his VPs hang out in the wind by suspending them instead of sticking up for him and saying, you know what, all right, we'll fire CM Punk, but my vice presidents, man, I have their back. And that's why Cody Rhodes left. Okay, that he was an executive vice president there. AEW stacking it up too much. They don't have enough room for people. People are going back to the WWE. I think Triple H is moving the WWE in the right direction. He's bringing some guys back that made the ratings go up on the TV and put butts in the seats. That's what I believe he's doing, and he's going to continue to do. And I think the answer to your question is yes. I think CM Punk can put his issues aside, but the thing that's gotten CM Punk in trouble is his mouth. And he has to calm down a little bit, and he has to, suck it up sometimes, to make it work. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what Triple H does. I don't think Triple H is smart enough. I think that he's not going to make a dumb move. He's going to weigh his options. He's going to take a look at this and say, hey, is what's good for business? Vince McMahon always says, is it right for business? So we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. And a lot of people saying, CM Punk hasn't been a big-time draw. But if you look inside the numbers here, his appearances often increased in quarter hours. The 5 pay-per-views he was on, those were the AEW's 5 highest selling. He also main evented 2 $1 million gates. arguably drew the third. He wasn't on. 4 of the top selling items for the year on shopaew.com and PWTs are his. So it's a major loss. And for me, honestly, I thought he was kind of telling the truth because the young guys were kind of going into business for themselves. But I absolutely understand where you're coming from. The locker room was in an uproar.
Right.
You have your VPs, people are fighting. That's just not how you run a wrestling organization. That's more like WCW, especially when you're trying to sign a new TV deal, which is what Tony Khan was trying to do.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before, Peter, and I forget who it was that said it. I think it was maybe Mark or somebody that we had on the show here that said, is Tony Khan watching old WCW stuff? I had former wrestler Bob Cook on my Blog Talk Radio wrestling show, and Bob Cook said the same thing. He says, what's he doing, watching WCW tapes as to how to run a wrestling company? Because it's pretty obvious that that's exactly what he's doing, Tony Khan. And I kind of like AEW's product. I mean, I really do. But I think it's I'm going to use this saying, right church, wrong pew. He's not putting things together properly. He has too many guys there that want airtime, and they can't get enough of it. Look at FTR. They have 3 tag team belts from 3 different wrestling companies, and they can't get any TV time. Tonight's the first time I've seen them in weeks. And they were on last week or a week or two ago just to talk. And they've been doing some other stuff. But I heard there was a rift there. They don't have enough TV time for everybody. And when you have too much, your roster too stacked like that, Peter, this stuff is going to happen. And now, you're getting guys that went out of their contracts. They want to move on and go elsewhere. And, Triple H is going to lick his chops. And he's going to say, hey, you know what? I'll take you. Come on over here. I'll find room for you. And, so let's see what creative does on both ends and see what happens.
Well, you're not the only one that's upset about TV time because CJ Perry, of course, Miro's wife, Lana, who was in WWE,
Right.
was asked about this, and she said Tony Khan has a vision. I think there's this illusion at AEW that the talent book the show. That was definitely the conversation. Oh, you go there, you're going to basically become whatever you're made of. But at the end of the day, he's booking the show. It's really no different than WWE. It's just a different director and a different person's point of view. It's like comparing NBC to HBO. You still have the exec who's going to make that final call, and that's what it is. Tony Khan has his favorites. He's going to push his favorites, just like Vince McMahon would push his favorites.
Right.
Just like Triple H is going to push his people, and it's show business. It's nothing personal. It just is what it is. Your thoughts, Miro, big time acquisition, but really has underachieved and hasn't been able to, achieve, if you will, that success that he had over in WWE. Kind of disappointing and kind of lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. He has been lost in the shuffle, and he's a good talent. And it's sad because he went to AEW looking to move up and move on. He was doing real well. He was the TNT champion there for a little while. I thought he was going to hold on to it for a while, and all of a sudden he just drifted away in the wind. And I mean, see, that's what I'm talking about, Peter. Tony Khan is letting this stuff get out of hand. He doesn't have a leader in the locker room. And in sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, anything, you got to have a certain leader in the locker room that is there to work with the younger talent, and also to make sure that the current talent is stable and everybody's working together and things like that. They don't have any leadership like that in their locker room there. Chris Jericho's trying. It's not working with him. So I don't know. Kenny Omega tried, and it didn't. They didn't respond to him either. So I don't know what else that can be said.
So what you're basically telling me is they're trying to have a leader. They had a leader in CM Punk. Basically the locker room rejected him, and now they don't have a leader. Maybe it's just the locker room. Maybe it's the culture bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. Let's go ahead and go out to the Madman, a former announcer. Of course, for Extreme Wrestling, I'm forgetting here, and of course, the Madman himself of Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio, former announcer. Tell them yourself here if they don't know who you are. Mark Mancini, welcome to the Evolution.
Well, I'll tell you, this is the show that's sweeping the country, no doubt about it. Must hear what you're doing down there in Tampa, Peter. It's just a blessing. I will be down in Florida in March. I can't wait to give you a big hug and get Ralph down there, the bodyguard of the Bergman, and rip this thing up. Yeah,
Yeah.
XPW ring announcer, the heel ring announcer of the heyday. And man, oh man, you talk about what's going on in the WWE these days. When the hell are they going to get rid of this Judgment Day? The only one that's worth watching is Rhea Ripley. These other three guys can't seem to put two words together. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and the mannequin I call the Mysterio Dominic. Unbelievable how they continue to put this down our throats.
It's terrible. I got to tell you, I understand what they're trying to do. A vehicle like more of Edge trying to run it, I think would buy it. But Finn Balor, and of course, like you talked about, Dominic Mysterio. I mean, he was comparing himself to this generation's Eddie Guerrero. It's just ridiculous at this point. Rhea Ripley is probably must-see TV. I mean, what do you do with it? What does Triple H do with this faction, in your opinion, Mark and Ralph?
Well, Ralph, I don't know
Well,
what you
I think that.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Go ahead, Mark. Oh, I think that Mark is correct on this, and yourself, Peter. I think that this Judgment Day, they got to get somebody that can talk with the microphone, as Mark has been saying. They have to get somebody that's like a spokesman, just like you have MVP for Omos, and you have JBL now for Baron Corbin, and you have Sami Zayn for the Bloodline, and Paul Heyman. You got to get somebody there like a manager type that can talk on the microphone and that can push the group a little bit better, because they're obviously not able to, they're not doing it, and it's not working. And, so I'm waiting to see what faction is going to take them out. That's what I'm waiting to find out, because, you got the OC back, and you got some other groups coming in.
Well, I think everybody was excited about this, and we kind of talked about this gentleman in the past couple of months who would return, and Triple H bringing back Bray Wyatt. He could also have a faction that may take them out, something along the lines. Let me ask you, Mark, how surprised were you that Bray Wyatt returned? How excited are you about his return? And what do you think at this point will Triple H do with him?
Well, I like guys with mic skills. And when you look at Bray Wyatt could have led Judgment Day. It could have been right up on his back. When you look at Damian Priest, I think he's more suited to stock groceries, at Walmart or something.
I think he's a talented wrestler.
Well, I think he's a talented wrestler, but you gotta have a leader here. And when you put that mic and you hand it out to the crowd to get a little heat going, if you can't orchestrate the heat on your own, then by golly, get somebody that can. Edge was their mouthpiece. If Edge is not around, then bring in a Bray Wyatt to lead these guys. You need somebody. Look at Seth Rollins. Look at case in point Roman Reigns. He was never the guy that could talk on the mic, but now he went in the film room and he studied it, honed that skill down. He's the best heel ever. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But these guys just can't seem to put it together, and it's just getting demoralizing each and every week.
Bray Wyatt back, Ralph. I mean, how excited were you to see him about a month ago at the pay-per-view? And what do you think? Sky's the limit. Are they going to finally develop this character, much like they did with The Undertaker there in the early 90s? Can they do that?
Yeah, I believe they can. They're bringing back Eric Rowan, and they're going to have Dexter Lumis. I'm hearing rumors he's going to be part of that faction. They're also bringing back Bray's bringing back his brother Bo Dallas, and then they're going to have Alexa Bliss. So there's your 5 people. They're supposed to have 6. I don't know who the 6th person would be. I'm thinking it's going to be Edge. Because Edge needs to get with somebody and take out this Judgment Day if that's what his plan is before he retires again. So, that's what I would do from Edge.
I think it's going to be a younger guy at this point because that vehicle, what you're trying to do is promote some younger guy, get him over. And we're on with Mark Mancini, Mancini Media, XM Sirius Radio, the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Mark, you missed the conversation, but we were talking about the big story right now. all reports say that AEW could be buying out CM Punk first and foremost. Do you think this is the way to go? And do you think that CM Punk eventually will end up with WWE? Why or why not?
Well, I like CM Punk, but I think eventually he'll end up with WWE. I think what Triple H is doing is he's trying to up the ante, and when you up the ante, I don't know if he's bringing all these guys back. When you alluded to Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, you get CM Punk. Is it up in the ante to sell the WWE to maybe somebody like Fox or NBC? That's the interesting thing here. We won't know that. I don't think it's going to be before WrestleMania, but I think, after WrestleMania, we can see a direction where, this group is headed, but it's going to be interesting. He's bringing a lot of guys into this mix, and they're doing a lot of things to try to, I think, sell it in more ways than one. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on it, but that's just one man's opinion.
Well, what Ralph's had to say is he feels like there's not enough booking because you have all these superstars coming over from WWE. We were just talking about Lana's comments on Miro. FTR, I mean, there's just not enough airtime. Do you feel like that's the mistake by AEW, that basically the roster has become flooded with all these wrestlers that you want to promote, but you just don't have enough time to promote them, Mark?
Well, I think that's the thing. In case in point, we've talked about this before. When you promote 3-4 guys and other guys feel like they're not worthy, then there's only two ways you can do that. You can, sit in a corner and weep and say, what do I need to do, and quit? Or you basically go back to the drawing board and do like Roman Reigns did and have a conversation saying, I think this gimmick might work. Let's play this out. Get them to buy into it. And when they buy into it, then you just run with the product. And that's what I would do. If I was in a situation where I'm in the middle of all these guys, I would try to move myself to the front of the podium in some ways, not do it in a way where you're just pushing people out of the way, but do it in a way where, hey, staying late and studying scripts and trying to figure out what I can do where people are taking notice that I'm taking this thing serious and I want to get noticed. Not a 15-minute car chase here.
Yeah, and it seemed like a car chase in that locker room with the CM Punk situation. And, of course, the VP's Wardlow was asked by Cage Side Seats about the situation. Everybody backstage has done such a great job of communicating, and we've been, honestly, through all, you said, chaos. He said, no, absolutely. But unfortunately, on the inside, it has made us so much tighter. And I feel like since all that stuff happened these past couple months have really changed the locker room. We have so many really positive leadership, guys like Jericho and Moxley and Bryan Danielson. They are true leaders and they're very passionate. And they've done such a good job of keeping the locker room together and on the same page, getting our company on the right track. I feel like our locker room is as tight as it was when we first started a few years ago, because when we first started, we were all on the same mission. We were a family. And then we survived COVID together. We spent more time with each other. And then other than our own families, it was really, really special that year when we basically lived in Jacksonville, but everybody bonded so well. And I feel like recently we're back to that. That was Wardlow in his comments. Ralph, you buy those?
Well, sometimes people, like I said before, got to watch what you say. I think Wardlow's probably towing the company line. He's probably saying, okay, this is the way it's looking, and to present it to people. But in reality, you have Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks coming back from a suspension. I don't know what they were like in the locker room. And he just said that Jericho is working on it, and I said he was working on it too. But I heard there was some slow progress with the locker room; it wasn't kicking in real quick. But if Wardlow's saying this, maybe to toe the company line, or if he's saying it because it's true, it could be. I don't know. I do know one thing. Conan came out and said that AEW's was $50 million in a hole after last year. So I really don't know, what kind of strategy Tony Khan has to fix that, being $50 million in a hole, last year. And, he keeps signing more and more of these wrestlers and things like that. And he has his family's money to play with. So that's great. I'm glad. It's not a public company like the WWE. where somebody like you and I could get a piece of stock and show up at shareholders meetings and say some things, but like I said, we'll see where Tony Khan goes with this the rest of the way. As of right now, it's they're treading water, and they're trying to compete with the WWE, and we'll see what happens. I hope they don't use the same playbook as the WCW. It appears that's what they are doing, but if the locker room is starting to come around, maybe they might have something going on here.
When I feel like the wrestling business overall needs that competition. Do you buy Wardlow's comments? Everything good in that locker room now? Or is it a foreshadowing of things to come where it could not be necessarily as good as we think he's saying it is?
Well, I think, sometimes the truth hurts. And when you lay it down, I always believe that respect is earned. You don't really give it as much, but he's telling the truth. He's breaking it down. If there were a family and all of a sudden things are changing, what happened? What changed it? Did money change it? I've always said this, Peter and Ralph, and you know me well, money comes and goes. Relationships are priceless. Unfortunately, some of these people forget where they started, and it takes a while to get up a hill. You don't want to roll off overnight. And sometimes these guys that run these, companies and stuff don't realize that. They're trying to recoup their profits overnight because they laid a lot of money out. It takes time. It takes time to build stuff. And trust in all these things is done with consistency. So I think he's speaking the truth and he's laying it down, and he doesn't really care where it's going to go because he's speaking from his heart.
And he's one of those guys that you kind of pencil in eventually if he's a free agent from AEW and he gets big money and gets the opportunity, because every wrestler strives to be in WWE. Then, of course, he would go along with possibly his friend, his running mate, and an MJF, although there's an article out there that says that Khan possibly could have signed an extension to MJF. Should that be the number one priority of this fledgling company, if you will, to sign an MJF and a guy like a Wardlow, Ralph?
Well, Wardlow, yes. MJF, I don't think he wants to come back. He's been hitting too much about when his contract runs out. He wants to go to WWE. WWE tried to recruit him before. If you watched the last couple of weeks at Dynamite, William Regal's been letting him have it. Supposedly, WWE tried to recruit MJF. They had him there in the Performance Center. William Regal said no, he wasn't capable enough of being a good wrestler. So he ended up moving on to doing it his way, and that's what he did. And, so he's been there. They know what he looks like. They have film on him. WWE would be stupid not to sign him. He has good charisma with the microphone, and he's a good heel. He plays the role very well. And, that would work out. His contract runs out in 2024, guys, and he doesn't plan on re-signing with AEW. I don't think. He's made a lot of statements lately that he's not planning on re-signing. And, I wouldn't doubt it if down the road, if he's that unhappy, you could see AEW buying out his contract too and letting him walk. Malachi Black walked. They bought out his contract.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, eventually he'll head back to WWE because he has that no-compete clause at the end of the day. I mean, Mark, how do you feel about MJF and Wardlow?
Well, yeah, and you bring up an interesting point, but here's another thing I want to throw in there. I know that the bottom line is everybody wants to get to the WWE in this thing, and we saw the USFL to try to challenge the NFL with billionaire owners. And are you guys shocked that with the money China's got, that they haven't developed something to rival the WWE in this country?
I think it's tough to rival anything that the National Football League has going because, like Ric Flair used to say, it's the best thing going.
Right, but with the money China has to build a stable to compete with the WWE and get these top-notch talents, don't you think it'd be almost like a 1A and an A type of thing? You'd have two franchises, because ever since the WWE has stepped in and bought out ECW, we saw WCW and now AEW not knowing what they're going to do, and all these other little. Are you surprised that nobody's really given the WWE a run for their money over the years?
I think WCW is the best opportunity, and when that, and then you had Impact, but it's just so tough. It's like going against the NFL because they have that history, they have that establishment, they have the unlimited resources, they have the big time contract, and you're trying to do it in an amount of time. You can't give a wrestling company like Ralph talked about. I mean, Conan said it. They're in the red at this point because how many years have they tried to put money into this? And it hasn't necessarily worked out because you're not getting the ratings because, at the end of the day, the wrestling market is saturated, but everybody always goes to WWE no matter if the product is good or not. So it's a tough thing because you have to devote so much time to it.
And the TV time too, guys.
Right. Exactly. All right. Speaking of TV time.
The TV time.
Yeah. We'll wrap it up here. Simone Johnson, the eldest daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, has officially arrived in WWE. She's now going under the name Ava Rain. She's 21 years old. She joined a faction called the Schism, a cult-like faction led by Joe Gacy. I don't know who the hell this guy is, from NXT. I mean, any interest at this point? And does she get promoted or pushed more than Charlotte Flair? Ralph, go.
No, I think Charlotte Flair will be back. She won't get pushed more than Charlotte Flair. Triple H might make her pay her dues, just like her dad did. And, we'll see what happens there, though. But then again, too, WWE, they had a great women's division. They had their own pay-per-view. And now the women's division is somewhat of a little bit of a joke. And they need to get Flair back. They need to get maybe, Dwayne Johnson's daughter up there to maybe boost, get that women's division back up and running again to where, like, they had their own pay-per-view. So I just, they went from having that down to nothing, practically.
Well, and that's why I think she gets promoted more than Charlotte Flair eventually because she is the Rock's daughter and because you can put a storyline. I don't like this schism. It's weird and she looks all weird to me and just I don't know. Mark, make some sense of this.
Well, I'll throw some fire into this thing.
Yes,
put some more gas cans in this thing. Give me Karrion Kross and Scarlett. If that doesn't work and you guys don't want to buy that, let's get Pete Davidson in this. And I know Martha Stewart will back him up. I mean, we can really get this thing going here, guys. I don't know if you heard that story today, but Martha Stewart says she wouldn't mind dating Pete Davidson. She's 81. He's 28. So bring that to the WWE. We see Logan Paul in here and everything.
Oh,
you got some internet.
You got Jake Paul fighting Anderson Silva, although that might be in doubt, believe it or not, because Anderson Silva was telling the media that he got knocked out twice with training. So who knows if that fight's going to happen on Saturday night. I hope it does.
Oh, my.
Pete Davidson.
Jake Paul's coming to the WWE.
Well, I talked to, and I'm trying to, Titus O'Neil about this about a year ago, trying to pair up the Pauls versus the Furies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
This is a legitimate thing because Paul is trying to get up into the heavyweight division. And he's trying to face Tyson Fury. Of course, he was trying to face his brother, Tommy, but that didn't necessarily work out. Well, I was talking to Titus about this a year ago, trying to pair up a Fury versus the Pauls in a WrestleMania match, and we'll see if that happens. Really quick, we'll get you out of here on that. But you didn't answer the question. Do you think they promote her as much or more than Charlotte Flair, the Rock star?
No, I think Charlotte Flair. I mean, Charlotte Flair is one of the best.
Yeah, Charlotte Flair.
I love Charlotte Flair. You got to promote her, but look at the women's division now. I mean, we got all these newcomers, and then I thought Shotzi was in, then she's over at AEW with that tank. I mean, what's going on here? And,
well, NXT, not AEW.
Yeah, I mean, NXT, but, you got Bianca Belair, and, we're waiting for Becky Lynch to get back. I mean, it just goes on, and Braun Strowman's girlfriend's in this. But I will tell you, I can't wait for Scarlett to get in this thing, man. I like Scarlett.
Well, I don't know if she can wrestle, but I tell you right now, she definitely looks good with her.
Karrion Kross is. I'm telling you guys, Karrion Kross is going to have that belt one day here.
He should, and they've absolutely dropped the ball in the Vince McMahon era to promote him because Triple H did a phenomenal job of building that guy up in NXT. He's always
Yep.
been like that. And then for some reason they dropped the ball. But once again, Triple H has taken the ball. Really quick, speaking of balls, baseballs in this case, Mark, who do you like in the World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies or the Astros, and why?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I do a show out of Philly on WWDB AM 860. And, you know, it's always hard to get that dead crow out of my mouth with the Padres losing to the Phillies. But sometimes you get the best of both worlds. I like the Phillies in 6. Houston's going to be awfully tough. They got some pitching. Dusty Baker trying to win his first World Series here. He's got a calming effect over the Astros. They're dangerous. Phillies are going to have to play perfect baseball to beat them, but I think the Phillies can do that and take this thing in 6.
All right, Mark, and are the Bucs going to be able to turn this around eventually?
Yeah, I like it. You know, I like Tampa Bay in that division. I got Atlanta number 2. I've said that from the start. I think Tampa Bay will find a way to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. It's a little too early now. No, I'm not drinking. No, I'm not smoking nothing. I just think the Tampa Bay Bucs will figure it out before the Tampa Bay Lightning. What the hell happened in Los Angeles last night, Peter?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't even want to talk about it.
Hey, we got our own problems in Pittsburgh. We're doing the Canadian two-step with
Yeah, we got our own problems.
Right,
well, the rumor has it, real quick, guys, that I know we're talking wrestling here, but real quick, if the Steelers don't do well on offense against Philly, Matt Canada's fired, offensive coordinator.
Well,
Steelers are beating the
and
Eagles
I got that from a real good source too.
Well, I think Matt Cannida should be fired by now because his play calls are probably as good as Byron Leftwich's. I tell you what, guys, go ahead and promote each other here. Ralph, go ahead and promote yourself first. Go.
Yeah, Ralph Williams. I have shows on YouTube. I have a YouTube page, Sports Corner, the way I see it. Talking Wrestling. Also, Wrestle Talk with Mark Mancini and Smoking Jim Frazier. Smoking Jim Frazier also works with me on Sports Corner and talking wrestling as well. I started a new show today called Ralph Williams One-on-One, where I do a one-on-one interview with somebody about an important topic. I started that today at 2 o'clock. That is a show that's going to be on at different times. I can be reached on Facebook, Twitter, and also on YouTube on my page. Please subscribe.
All right, thanks to the bodyguard of the Berg, Mr. Ralph Williams, for your time here on The Evolution, all right?
You're welcome. It's good to be back, Peter.
It's good to have you back. There we go, right there. Let's go out to the madman, Mr. Mark Mancini of Mancini Media. Go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Well, XM 203, Sirius 217. Blessed to be a part of that Pittsburgh show with Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim. I'm so blessed to produce that one. Also, this great show, the WWDB AM 860 out of Philly. Completed my second year with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I can't wait to see you in March, man. I'll be down in Florida in March.
All right, man. Let's definitely link up. Appreciate your time, the madman.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Mark Mancini right there. Sorry about your Padres, and we'll see you next week. All right, my friend?
Definitely. Same time, same place.
Yes, sir. There you go. Mark Mancini, Ralph Williams. Let's go out to these comments and get the heck out of here for a great night of sports talk television, right? We got you Bucs. We got you around the NFL. A little wrestling talk, little baseball in there mixed in. Don't want to talk hockey because I don't want to talk about that game last night. Thank you very much. Let's go out to Chris Cole. We read that comment. Russ Lawson says Harper most hated. Russ again. Dale Murphy for Hall of Fame. Free Pete Rose. Time served. Roger says the Elite are back on Dynamite tonight. Good night, Pete. Thank you very much, Roger, for tuning in. I will acknowledge you.
Acknowledge me.
35-10, Baltimore over the Bucs. How much better are the Bucs going to be in 3 days removed from the trash performance? I think there's zero chance for a win tomorrow, only because we are so undisciplined in all phases. Russ says Dusty Rhodes. Thank you very much, Russ. David says Vegas knows Bucs lose at home. Feels so bad for this team. They seem like they're dead in the water. No life, no energy with this team. Hope we don't get embarrassed. And the final comment of the night, Chris Cole says, I'm not giving a score prediction because I predicted the Bucs 41-13 last week, and they fell flat. I agree with you. I'm probably going to pick Baltimore in this game. Maybe I changed my mind, but it's tough for me the last couple of weeks to take the Bucs in a game with the performances that they've shown on the field. Thanks to all the guests, Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire on 1252 Chicago Sports. Of course, we talked about it, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. former defensive tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, James Cannida, Mark Mancini, and Ralph Williams, the bodyguard of the Berg. We will be back tomorrow night live from Beef O'Brady's on Bush Boulevard. Yours truly, along with Jason Powers. Powers on Sports podcast out there with the no quarter given of the buckpower.com. So definitely join us then for a pregame show, maybe some halftime, and who knows, post-game edition. Hopefully it is a winning post-game edition with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. 3 things to end this show. Once again, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube, like I Love St. Pete, The Hub, and Amped Up Sports, and do 3 things. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night.